time is 7:30. The time is 7:30. The time is 7:30. We're calling this meeting to order. I'm calling this meeting to order. I'm calling the meeting to order. Does everybody understand and hear me? If not, raise your hand. How would you like to hear it again? This meeting is called to order. We will now have the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance with me. Pledge allegiance to the flag, United States of America, and the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Roll call of officers, please. Supervisors.
Present.
Beth, Celebrity, Decker, Franco,
Here.
Boyd Frederick, Ron Frederick, Gashke, Gentz,
Here.
Grady,
Here.
Gully,
Here.
Kubicki,
Present.
Mauer,
Here.
Nordigan, Nudo, O'Day,
Here.
Palmaville,
Here.
Rodriguez, Rose,
Here.
Wambolt, Winky, Uhas,
Present.
and Laura is here. She will be right back. 23 present.
Thank you. We will now have citizens' comments. We will now have citizens' comments. Citizens' comments are on the agenda as of now. Does everybody understand and hear me? Would you please stand by the podium? You have 5 minutes. Anybody that wishes to speak. All the members of the public are requested not to disrupt the meeting by speaking, making remarks or threats, commenting or otherwise making noise outside of making a formal comment during this portion of the agenda. I do not want to have to ask anyone to leave the meeting, but I intend to keep order and make sure that the meeting can proceed in an orderly and appropriate manner. Anyone wishing to speak, please come to the mic. State your name and address for the record, please. After the comments are made, we'll have some from the clerk that came in on emails. Thank you.
And can I make one comment about the citizen comments? There's a list on there. Please put your name and get in line ahead of time so that we're going to have a lot tonight so that it moves fast for everyone out there. Thank you.
Can I talk now? Okay, so what I originally wanted to speak on obviously was not going to happen tonight because the other meeting got adjourned. So I know we've been talking about policing and things that the officers have been doing. I don't know if any of you are aware of what just happened about a good 20 minutes ago, but KPD, not these gentlemen because they're here, but KPD took a African-American, sir, let me finish. You said it's a citizen comment. Can you hear me?
Did you give your name and address first?
Portia Bennett, and I'm in the 7th District.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So, before I was interrupted, just now, about a good 20, 30 minutes ago, KPD decided to take an African-American male out of the vehicle, beat him up, and then let him go when they realized they had the wrong person. And now this young man is on his way to Kenosha Memorial Hospital for injuries. Why do we have to keep going through this as a people? Like, when are y'all going to step up and, like, help us? We got to live here. When are y'all literally, people on the board? I'm letting y'all know this just happened. And it's already on social media. So do y'all understand why people keep getting upset? Why people keep feeling angry? This young man just got beat up. They realized it was the wrong person and just dropped him. Where do they do that at? In what part of, matter of fact, let me ask you guys. In your handbook, what part is that where you guys get to beat up unarmed African-American people and realize you have the wrong person and then just go about your daily work? Like, aren't there any consequences for that? Because now he's on the way to the hospital with injuries. No? See. But yet we have to trust these people with our lives. Do you guys understand now what we're talking about? Thank God he didn't get shot. Thank God he's not paralyzed. Thank God he's not dead. But they beat him and realized he was the wrong individual and just dropped him there. And now he has to go to the hospital with injuries. I thought so. Very silent room. You guys enjoy your meeting.
Is the mic on, ma'am?
Is it on? Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes.
My name is Kate Trudell. I don't know my district number, but I'm in John O'Day's district. The topic that I'm here to talk about tonight, unfortunately, isn't before you either. I say this with absolutely no sarcasm. I think it's really unfortunate that the citizens were not able to hear the call for citizen comments. I think that's really unfortunate. So I'm still going to read what I prepared for the executive committee because I hope that you listen and I hope that we're able to make changes before we come back next month with the resolution. So I read the resolution drafted by Supervisor Rose, and while I think there are valuable comments about what's happened in our community, the resolution largely ignores the elephant in the room when it comes to healing. The first sentence indicates that there was some civil unrest in our community. That's not untrue. The resolution goes on to discuss the damage done to the community as a result of that unrest and reaffirms this board's commitment to racism being a public health crisis. What happened in Kenosha is the result of negligence on the part of leadership. Negligence has 4 parts: duty, breach, causation, and damages. This resolution seems to start at damages and ignore the duty, the breach, and the causation. So I'll walk through them here. This county owes a duty to serve every member of the community. That duty has been breached. You were made aware of that breach when white and black citizens alike advocated for law enforcement reform and body cameras. You were aware and chose not to act for years. Then Jacob Blake was shot, and civil unrest and destruction erupted in our city in a way that we've never seen before. Jacob Blake's shooting was the proximate cause of the unrest and destruction. Yet, it's mentioned nowhere in Supervisor Rose's resolution. The resolution reads as if the destruction just sort of materialized. Set aside your beliefs about whether you think his shooting was justified or not. It doesn't matter for purposes of healing. Instead, look at the response from the community when he was shot and consider what that tells you about the trust between law enforcement and people of color in our community. People don't protest and riot when they're enfranchised. Cities don't burn when the citizens trust their leaders to solve problems. There will be no trust gained by the resolution as written because it ignores the fact that systematic racism is real and affects your constituents on a daily basis. This resolution states that this will never happen again in our community. I can assure you that if we don't do something drastically different, it absolutely will. I urge you to rewrite this resolution. Start at the beginning. Sit down with your local Black leaders and ask them why. Ask them why our city burned and why our Black and brown people are hurting. You cannot heal from looking at a result, from looking at the destruction and damage. That's reactive. You cannot heal century-old wounds with a Band-Aid. We can rebuild all the buildings you want. That's defensive. Brene Brown studies vulnerability and shame. In her book, Rising Strong, she says, we can choose courage or we can choose comfort, but we can't have both, not at the same time. I love this community and I believe in this community. I'm asking you to be courageous and uncomfortable so we, Kenosha, Black, white, brown, can all rise strong together. Thank you.
Please state your name and address for the record.
My name is Diamond Hartwell. I am in Jeff Gens district. Last week, I had the privilege of Jeff letting me know that he likes me too. We like each other because we are both outspoken. We definitely do not like each other's politics, and that's okay because When I come to this board and I ask things of you guys, I don't ask that we agree on everything. I just ask that you be decent people. So, that being said, I'm going to do something that I don't normally do, and I'm going to go on script. So I make sure I get it right. The problem with this board and with local government is the lack of decency. It's the undecent behavior, and it is the undecent things that are going on this board. I'd be absolutely remiss if I did not point this out to you guys, because I really truly feel that a lot of you are decent people. A lot of you are open to having these hard conversations and you want to do the right thing, and I appreciate that. But you're falling a little bit short, and I'm going to let you know why. You need to know that your silence is way more powerful than any hateful thing that Supervisor Decker has ever said about Black women, Black children, and really just Black
Please
people in general.
refrain from all the Sister X. Okay.
I'm sorry, all the what?
The background people. I can't hear you with all the background noises. Thank you.
I appreciate you guys, but they limit me on time. That being said, a lot of people are really mad at Supervisor Rose, and I'm sorry if I'm about to irritate you guys, but I actually want to take this moment to thank Supervisor Rose, because Supervisor Rose is the only supervisor in this room who stood up in the last meeting about the resolution to declare racism a public health crisis. He was the only one who turned his light on, opened his mouth, and said, this is inappropriate. It's inappropriate to come up with false statements and statistics about Black women, Black babies, and abortion. It's messed up. It's not right. And he's the only one who said anything. I know a lot of you personally, and I know a lot of you also agree that it was messed up, but you didn't say anything. That's the problem. While our focus into 2022 is going to be on the supervisors who are blatantly racist, it's not up for discussion. Erin Decker is a white supremacist, and it's okay for you guys to call her out. I encourage you to. But especially you guys, because you are in leadership, and it is your job to not accept that and not tolerate it. So we're going to focus on ones who are blatantly messed up like that. But we're also going to focus on the ones who blatantly pander to us and bend the truth. And I'm looking at you, Supervisor Rodriguez. But we're also going to be closely watching the rest of you. And by watching, I actually mean listening. Because again, your silence is compliance. And that compliance speaks louder than anything else in this room. And Mr. Chairman O'Day, I have been waiting to say this to you for quite some time now. But at every single meeting that I have been at, you have had the audacity to threaten to kick someone in the audience out. Someone. And the thing is, it always ends with me behind my ass saying, who? Which one? And you know what happens? You get quiet and you resume the meeting and nobody gets kicked out. I'm just saying it's a bad look when you threaten the entire room of your constituents because one or two got out of line. And I understand we want things to be in order and we want to do this meeting right because that's how it's done. That's how it gets done nicely. But like, it's not a good look, my man, not at all. And finally, and this one's just personal, I have a very hard time understanding how this is a county-owned building. It's a county-owned building, right? There is an excessive amount of sheriffs in this room tonight, in the room last week. And yet somehow last week, when I was way off in the corner by myself because my leg is broken, I broke my leg the night that Jake Blake was shot because I was out there peacekeeping. KPD was not, sheriffs were not, we were out there peacekeeping. So I broke my leg and I came out here. And I sat in the corner so I wouldn't be in anyone's way, so I wouldn't get hit. And you know what happened? Two women came up literally inches away from me, neither of them wearing a mask, which is fine. If you don't believe in masks, whatever. You can believe in willy-nilly science, that's fine. But we are under a state-mandated mask mandate. This is a county-owned building. There's an excessive amount of sheriffs in here. Why can you not get those ladies away from me when I politely ask them to please back up? You are too close. And they tell me, well, it's my right to be here. It's absolutely their right to be here, but it is my right to be here safely.
Thank you. Please state your name and address for the record.
District
Thank you.
11. Can you hear me?
Just talking in like you're good.
It's been 3 weeks since the riots, looting, and arson that burned my neighborhood to the ground. This is unbelievable. Does it really take a resolution before elected officials in the city and county of Kenosha realize they owe us answers? I've got some questions and I want answers. Why was Uptown sacrificed and hung out to dry by elected officials? Why were no arrests for rioting, looting, and arson made on the nights of Sunday, Monday, or Tuesday, August 23rd, August 24th, and August 25th? Public records don't lie. And here they are. No arrests made for rioting, arson, or looting on those 3 nights when my neighborhood burned. Why were Kenoshans who called 911 on those 3 nights told, and I quote, "We can't respond for reasons of safety"? Whose safety? Certainly not us citizens, residents, taxpayers, because we all got hung out to dry for 3 solid nights. Why were no fire trucks dispatched to my Uptown neighborhood until Tuesday morning, well after everything that could burn down already burned down? I listened to the police scanner. I heard the police officer say at 10:45, "Roadies is a total loss. I'm hearing a hissing sound. The Danish Brotherhood is ready to blow." And then 15 minutes later, it exploded. No fire trucks in Uptown until Tuesday morning. What do we pay taxes for if when we need you the most, you abandon us? Who gave the stand down order to the Kenosha Sheriff's Department, the Kenosha Police Department, and the Kenosha Fire Department, and why? We know you did it. Why is it that 3 weeks later, Kenoshans still have no answers to these questions? What is the priority of the Kenosha County District Attorney's Office in all of this? In case any of you are wondering, the case against a 57-year-old woman who simply tried to attend a noticed public meeting of this very body and speak during citizens' comments is proceeding full speed ahead. Is it really more important for the government to squeeze $1,535 in citations out of me for having the audacity to try to speak during citizen comments in May, more important than arresting and prosecuting the people who looted, burned my neighborhood to the ground? Where is the accountability to us? We deserve answers. Thanks.
Thank you. Any more citizens? Please state your name and address for the record, please.
Do I have to state it again? It's Billy Violet. My real name is Whitney Cabal. And before speaking, I just want to look around the room and say how proud I am of my community for showing up. This is amazing. I'm relatively new since this summer, but this is the most people I've seen packed in here. And it also doesn't go without mentioning that I noticed that they've blocked us off with these signs that say no public beyond this point after last week. And we're not really capable of social distancing with this crowd. So it'd be really nice if we had this space over here for the next board meeting. I would like to tell you where all those fire trucks were on nights 1, 2, and 3. They were downtown. They weren't in Uptown. They were downtown. And there's something that several of you in the room have failed to realize. And I'm sorry for the way that things escalated tonight, but I'm not sorry for holding my ground because citizen comments matter. and you closed a board meeting last week to citizen comments, and then it was open to citizen comments. And the reality is that you're not going to make any change and be successful if you don't include the commentary of the general public. And you need to be having conversations with the Black community. It's no longer acceptable for you to stick your head in the sand and just try, because we're not going to just give collective pats on the back anymore. Serious effort needs to go into this. Committees, canvassing, mobilizing. I've talked with a few of you on an individual basis about the things that I've done to encourage the community to come out. You need to do it. You need to get out into the community and have these hard conversations. Terry rose through a resolution together in just a few days. And while I'm proud of the amendments that unfortunately, because we couldn't work with a little bit of de-escalation and we couldn't give it a few minutes before everybody just kind of stuck their tail between their legs like a scared puppy, you know, we're going to hear them eventually. And citizen comments need to be open, because the crowd here tonight, everybody here with their phones and their reach, the whole city knows what you guys did here tonight, and it's unacceptable. Everybody gets frustrated. Everybody gets mad. This is an emotional time. We're all going to have to feel it at some point. And it's not okay for somebody on the other side, one of these board members, to lose their temper while you continue to tell people of color and people of the community who actually need your assistance to shut up. Because we're not going anywhere. Every single meeting, and I think you've noted this, every single meeting over the past several weeks and months has had more people in it every single time. So the next time there's a meeting and things are a little tense, I suggest that a few of you read up on de-escalation before you just start shouting for adjournment. Because the citizen comments here matter, and we're not going to be told to shut up. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Assalamu alaikum. Good evening. My name is Justin Blake, the uncle of little Jacob Blake that was shot 7 times in the back by a police officer while he was unarmed, and his children were only feet away from the gun that was being fired. There's a lot of rhetoric going on around this country and around this world, but it's going to take a real step back and analyzing ourselves, our ethics, and our morals to where we actually stand in regards to humanity. So yeah, he happened to be our nephew, so therefore he was black and an African descendant, but he's a human being that had 3 young people sitting on the other side of a door, that a gun was fired. You don't teach that when you're hunting. You don't teach that in your home. It was unsafe handling of a weapon, first and foremost. Had a bullet gone through our nephew, hit the front of the car, and came back into a child, what will we be talking about tonight? So let's talk about that first. Secondly, he shot an unarmed person. Whatever the case may be with his background, whatever the case may be with what was going on, they had enough police officers to have handled the situation in another way, in another fashion, to where if there was charges to be directed towards our nephew, they could have been led, they could have been handled, they could have been arrested, and he could have sought a judge and got some type of justice. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. An overzealous officer with racism on his mind went into his own space wearing a badge that represented this city, county, and state. The world is watching. You can't hide in your office. You can't run away from board meetings. We're going to have to draw a line between those that have and those have not, those that believe in justice and those that don't. There's change in the air, and you need to know it. All the seats that you sit in, I'm a political science major, go through it. How many did you win by in votes last time you got in your chair? There's people that are concerned about issues that happen to deal with people that live in the districts that you serve. Your job, first and foremost, just as our so-called president is to provide safety throughout the communities in which you serve. That means safety for everybody, brown, black, white, etc. If that isn't happening, we're at a time in our country's history where there's going to, from this point forward, that it's going to be recorded in history where everybody stood. We need laws, bills, and legislations that protect African Americans all around this country that look like little Jake. We need you to exponentially get on that boat, talk to your citizens, find out what they need, and find out how we can make corrections that have stigmatized children, adults, and across the board that look like us. We can no longer provide safe havens for police officers that break the law. We had the same situation in Chicago with Laquan Donald that was shot 16 times. It was a tremendous cover up until the video came out and you got to see what side everybody sat on. And there's still ramifications in Chicago going on with that. So I'm not gonna hold your mic. I appreciate you letting us have a minute of your time. The citizens of Kenosha are hella people, hella big hearts. Serve your people right. Sit in that chair proudly. Know you made the right decisions and do not, by any means necessary, let a person who broke the law have sanctuary with a badge and continue service on behalf of Kenosha. And finally, the whole world is watching. So if this man isn't indicted, that means it's a free-for-all on every African American in this state, in this country, and in this world. So you're going to allow this man that has just abused the White House to force us into damn near civil war? Stop it. Stand up tonight and let the world know where the county board stands, where my nephew was shot 7 times in the back and paralyzed. Stand up. Big ups to the red, the black, and the green. One Africa.
Thank you. Any more citizen comments?
I got too much time. I wasn't even going to talk to you guys tonight. I'm Kyle Flood, 6208 32nd Avenue, around Frederick's District. I wasn't even going to say anything tonight, quite honestly, because I don't think Terry's resolution did a thing. It was so listen. We all know how this works. All of us know how this works. All right. I was on the school board. You guys write together a resolution that doesn't really take any kind of action, and then you pass it, and you're like, "Oh, look what we did," and it doesn't do anything. And that's what Terry's resolution was. I'm glad that some of you guys have amendments. I'm more pessimistic than a lot of people in this room that I don't even think you guys would come to an agreement on a lot of those amendments. And it comes down to 2022, and we'll have to vote a lot of you guys out. I have a big problem with those of you that are openly racist. Obviously, we're coming after you guys, but I have a bigger problem, to be honest, with those of you that don't say a damn word throughout the entire meeting. And I know some of you guys really well. For those of you who choose not to say anything, you are betraying your constituents. When I was on the school board, if people hadn't heard that we were doing citizen comments, you could be damn sure that I would have been like, well, hey, wait, let's have citizen comments. I want to hear from people. These people vote for you guys. Have some respect for your position. Hold yourself to a higher standard. Imagine if the U.S. Congress or the U.S. Senate just shut down a public hearing like that and just said, oh, you didn't hear that we called for people? We're not going to let you talk. Imagine the outrage. Hold yourself to that standard, because you are voted for by the same people that vote for Congress and Senate. They vote for you. You represent them too. You're a legislator. You're a representative. Hold yourself to a higher standard. Always be willing to hear people. Always be willing to listen to people. It's that easy. And guess what? Nobody would have been screaming if you would have just been like, okay, sure. Come talk. Sorry you didn't hear us. Maybe you couldn't work the mic wrong. Maybe you did call it out. Just let people talk. Other than that, so like I said, your resolution does nothing. There is one issue that's very passionate for me right now, and I want to talk about it. Because it's a resolution you guys could make right now. Well, not right now. I understand open meetings law, but you could write it. And that is, the most violent thing that happened, whereas the most violent thing that happened the night of the riots was the police violence of rubber bullets and tear gas. Do you know I got tear gas 4 times? Luckily, I didn't get hit by a rubber bullet. I bet who got tear gas here? Who got hit by a rubber bullet? All right, so listen, they call those non-lethal rounds, they're less lethal. We saw rubber bullets go through people's shields. We saw broken arms from rubber bullets. People had asthma attacks from the tear gas. And not everyone that got tear gas, the people that were burning down buildings didn't get tear gas. The people in the crowd peacefully protesting did. And that was the most violent thing that happens. And so now I'm supposed to trust these guys? I'm supposed to trust them when one of them might have tear gassed me? One of them might have chucked that tear gas canister at me? And I gotta trust them now? I have to call them when I'm in trouble? Come on. Write a resolution that we will never again use tear gas or rubber bullets in Kenosha County. Write a resolution that we will never, ever use those again. We will never waste our money on them, and we will never commit that kind of violence against the mass amount of citizens or outsiders. There's no excuse for committing that kind of violence. So there's a resolution that does something, and there's a resolution that, tell you what, you write that, I will help you with your re-election campaign. I'll stand against anyone and support you. Write that resolution. Do something. Do something and hold yourself up to a higher standard. Respect your position.
Thank you. Any more citizens' comments?
Oh, sorry. Hi, my name is Angela Wytalk, and I believe I'm in the 5th district. I'm not sure. I'm coming up here because I can see both sides of this situation. Over 13 years ago, I was beaten by a Kenosha police officer to the ground, unconscious. Now, after that happened, I was definitely at fault for some of the situation. Now, do I hold every police officer accountable for what happened that day? Because after that situation, I was in the middle of a 7-year domestic violence relationship, an extremely severe domestic violence relationship. And if I wouldn't have had these cops to call on multiple occasions, I don't know what would have happened to me or my 3 children. And I'm saying that with 100% honesty. Do I think 100% there needs to be serious reform and cops that are bad need to be held accountable for their bad actions? Absolutely. Bad needs to go and good needs to stay. Period. That's what we need. We need people to look honestly at each other. And I'm Mexican, Italian, and Indian. I'm not black. I'm Mexican, Italian, and Indian. And I want that person, when I need help, to come and help me when I was pinned up against a wall and had no one to help me. So I think there needs to be serious reform, but everyone needs to look at themselves and they need to seriously do reform. They need to have body cams. They need to have more, and don't come to a situation trying to escalate it. Come there trying to de-escalate it. I have a police officer in my neighborhood that is a police officer in Cook County. You know what he told me? He said the first situation, and this guy is huge, the first thing I do to de-escalate a situation is I size the person up and they size me up. I don't pull my gun out. I don't pull my taser out. They size the person up and they show that they have command when they come on there. They don't act scared and timid so that the person they're dealing with is going to take advantage of them. And that's the problem. We're not talking about real solutions. We're talking about change. What's changing? Nothing ever changes. The police officer that did that to me should 100% be held accountable. But where is he right now? He's still on the police force to this day. The police officers that have done things in the past, granted, there's great police officers. There's tons of them, but they're just not being heard, and they're being all condemned for the actions of a very, very few bad. And it's wrong. We all need to come together. I argued with a man from Portland when I was at the protest downtown. I work downtown, and I'm going to let everyone know I work right on 6th. For 2.5 months, I couldn't work. I had no income at all. Then, when we finally get back to work, then all of this happens. My clients won't even come downtown. They're worried about their cars getting messed up. So I've literally gone from being busy and booked to having 3 clients a week. How am I supposed to feed my 3 kids? What am I supposed to do? What does everyone, I get it. This pisses everybody off. I don't want to see anyone shot. I don't want to see my brothers being, I don't want to see anybody, but bad cops are bad cops. They don't care what color you're, they're just bad. And that's what we need to be talking about right now. We need to be talking about bad, period, and getting rid of it. It's frustrating and it's annoying that it's ignored. And it's frustrating to the good cops out there that want to just come to work, do their damn job, and go home not dead to their families. We all need to come up with a solution. And we can. We're not stupid. Everyone can come up with something. This is frustrating for communities. When I argued with this man from Portland, he told me that his goal is to have segregated schools. I looked at him and I said, what are you talking about? He said, I want segregated schools. I look at it as two parents that don't get along. And right now, blacks and whites don't get along and they need to be in different schools. I said, excuse me, I went to Lincoln. I hung out with everybody from that school. My daughters are on the cheer team at Bradford, and out of 18 girls, there was 3 white girls on that team. 3. The rest were African American and Hispanic. That was the majority of their team. Kids don't see color. We have to open our hearts. And when we open our hearts, we'll solve these problems. Instead of everyone being so hateful, when he said that to me, I'm like, so you want to take 1,000 steps back and you want to separate our kids? I said, why don't we just separate Mexicans and Puerto Ricans? They don't like each other. Like, when does it end? When does it end? We should all need to come together. And if we do, we can solve these problems. But it's not going to be solved if we're backing up bad people. Period.
Thank you. Citizens' comments? Citizens' comments? Step up to the
Yes.
podium if you're going to talk.
Okay, I'm Pamela Mundling. I'm District 3. I live not far from the downtown and uptown areas. And I have to tell you, a few weeks ago, I was really rattled with what was happening down there. And I just want to thank the supervisors who said things are out of control and we're not handling them very well. We need help, and reached out and reached up and brought the National Guard in. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other citizens' comments? Step up to the podium.
Veronica King, 5518 34th Avenue, Kenosha. I've been sitting in this meeting, okay? There's a sign on the glass that says you need to have a mask, okay? I've counted 5 supervisors. I can't see Supervisor Decker to see if she has a mask on or not. Okay, so that makes 6 supervisors in this meeting without a mask on, and I count 5 law enforcement officers in here who should be enforcing a county policy. But all 6 of you are sitting in a meeting with no mask on, yet it's posted on the door, and we got 5 deputies sitting in here, and neither of them have approached you to tell you to put a mask on.
Because they're here for us.
Here you go.
They're here for us.
Please, people, please. We need
If
y'all
y'all
to put
care
on
about our
Thank
safety,
you.
why not put the mask on? It is mandated.
My name is, hello, can y'all hear me? My name is Nicholas, 85th and 30th. Okay, so I watched those kids get killed, right?
Did you?
I watched those kids get killed on 63rd, right? But each one of you is the president of your spot. When you heard all those people yelling, lock that police up, we didn't hear it from you. See, the people can holler all day long, lock those people up, lock those people up. These are your constituents. When they say lock that person up, you supposed to took the initiative and said, hey, we really need to lock this person up. Guess what you guys did? Y'all sat in y'all seats. Y'all watched y'all city burn and didn't do nothing. You know what I'm saying? And didn't do nothing. So now we sitting in a room where y'all ain't answering questions. Y'all just listen to us to do the same thing y'all been doing the whole time, right? The kid got shot 7 times in the back. It's a kid tonight just got beat up by the police. You know what they told him? Oh, we got the wrong person. After y'all beat him up. But we are the ones that's causing the ruckus and the rage. See, most of you guys will say, oh, it was people from out of town that came and burnt our city. No, it wasn't. I was out here every single day. And you'll be surprised that it was a white person that was burning it down, wouldn't it? It'll look like I was a racist sitting up at this room if I told you that. You know what I'm saying? And then the militia, they came. I talked to them. You know what they told me? They said, you know what the police, excuse my French, you know what the goddamn police told me? To push you guys down that way, and then we take care of it. You see what I'm saying? We are not crazy. It's something going on, and you guys know that it's going on. Why do we have to beg you to fix it? Why do we have to threaten you to get out these seats for you to do something? You know what's crazy? Andy, I thought you was a good guy, right? And you might be. You got a lot of guys out here. You got friends, right? But what you posted last night was out of control. See, you could have told people in a different way. You could have said, hey, people, something's going on outside. Stay safe. You don't know what's going on in the community. Because if you, being a, I don't know, police officer / whatever, you should have jumped in your car. You could have came down to McDonald's and seen what we was doing. You rather tell people to stay safe than understand that we out there getting something to eat. See, when black people seem to get in a loud crowd or a big crowd, y'all get scared. See, y'all go to telling people to be safe, run scared. But guess what? How many of your constituents know that it's a anti-Black Lives Matter rally tomorrow? Then nobody seemed to speak about that. We all know. How we ain't telling our constituents about what's going on outside. But then when your constituents, see, I keep saying this, we can't stop the racism, right? You know, after I seen these guys get killed, I was sitting in the alley taking pictures, minding my own business, right? A lady came from we in the alley. She came from her house down the alley with a gun. You know what she told me? Show me your ID, because you don't even supposed to be around here. At that point, I was in a rage. I didn't know what to do. You know, she could have shot me. I had to calm down. I had a photographer. She was a girl. She went belligerent with the lady with the gun. The lady pulled it out. The lady pulled it out. Looked at her and said, you better not do nothing to me. Her husband came, even bigger gun, and stood beside her like this. They stood there for 30 minutes trying to egg something on. But me being black, I'm scared to call the police. Because 9 times out of 10, if they would have came, they'd have instantly jumped on their side. They'd have swore I was doing something wrong. It's late. I ain't doing nothing wrong but taking pictures. But guess what? The police would have been on her side. And at that point, I could have called the police come kill me, or either I don't call the police and I slip on a rock. I move the wrong way. And these white people kill me right here. They're going to get away with it. Who do I call in that situation? I can die both ways. Your bill should have been having our own police. We need to be policing our own people because they're scared of us. We come to a big crowd, they run, they call whoever they can call, and then there we go. I was at a birthday party with kids everywhere. They jumping on the bouncy. A police car would drive past and look at me like this with the side eye. I'm like, damn,
Sir,
why are they looking at me like that?
sir, would you wrap it up, please?
And see, that's the part. They don't even want to listen. Last time we hear, y'all shut it down soon as somebody made a loud noise. That's what happens in the community. That's why every single person got to go. And I will make it my job to knock on every single door to make sure everybody get up. I swear to God, I'll make sure y'all get up.
State your name and address for the record, please.
I am. I'm very familiar with the policy. My name is LaRon Franklin. I'm from the 7th District. Before I even start, let me just address one thing to the lady over there wearing a non-mask. In a professional capacity, that was ridiculous, immature, And you just showed everybody in this room that you do not value your position. You too. Now, what I want to talk about is change. And we speak so emphatically about change. Change this, change that. This needs to change. You change your clothes. Okay, whatever. So we always talk about the police need to change. And we recognize that they do need to change. But we also need to recognize that y'all need to change too. Because this is a generational problem with you people sitting behind these desks acting like y'all the saviors and gods over Kenosha. Shame on you. Shame on you, Terry Rose, that think that you can consolidate Kenosha problems in one grasp and one resolution and clear it up. You see how ridiculous that sound? That's how ridiculous your action was. Now, this is what I'm talking about with y'all. We shouldn't have to ask y'all to be safe by the same people who are in charge with serving and protecting us. We shouldn't have to ask that. Because if a police pull up to your house acting like they do when they pull up to ours, you'll be on the phone with all your county board and y'all be, give me your resignation right now. See, the problem comes when you treat the officers like this and you treat the civilians like this. You understand that? Who is your obligation to? The officers or to the civilians? You asking us to believe in a system that we're disenfranchised from, ostracized from, and let you come up with the solution to our problems? Shit, you're the problem. What you talking about? What is you talking about? You ain't begin to address the issues going on in our community. Systematic racism. Oh, let's put the money here. Let's put the money there. You might embezzle something in your life before. You're too good with the numbers. But this is what I'm saying. You talking about financial stability without financial responsibility. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. That stuff does not happen in the real world. You live in it. So I don't think you can come with that nonsense to us like we're going to settle for the crumbs. All right? It's not going to work, Terry Rose. You ain't never been for the people. I don't understand why you think you can write a resolution for the people. We should not fear these people, but we have to, and we have to fear y'all because y'all got the right to shoot us because they allow y'all to. So if we hold them accountable, we got to hold y'all accountable too. You understand? If we going in a fire, everybody got to go. Everything must go. Everything. We out here talking to y'all peacefully. Y'all just beat up a black man for no reason. Every one of y'all should be outraged about that right now. Calling the mayor, calling the commissioner. Every one of you should be outraged about that. Lady over there sitting with your back turned to me, I am so disgusted in you that you can't even listen to your people and turn around. That is absolutely disgusting. That's narcissistic behavior. Hitler had the same attitude. All right? You got an obligation to your people, your district. Why don't y'all get up and go walk around your district and ask your people what's the problem and how can we sit down and fix it together? Because y'all keep trying to fix a problem when we ain't included and we keep telling you that you're the problem. You understand? We're not included. So how you gonna understand what's going on if you ain't even talking to us? Andy, I thought you was a good guy too. I thought you were. But I understand one thing. You did the same thing Terry Rose did. See, it's been racism in Kenosha, but Terry Rose just tried to ride a wave. And you ain't that splashy, brother. All right? That post that you put out last night, I was one of those people. I'm always going to be one of them people because I am one of the people. You understand what I'm talking about? I'm always going to be one of them people. We was out there peacefully just trying to get something to eat. Tell them to show you the post where it sounded like we were looting, pillaging, maiming, robbing, raping. And we wasn't doing nothing but trying to get something to eat. The same thing if your son wanted something to eat, you would stop anywhere and get him something to eat. But you just dehumanized us in one post over something you don't even know nothing about. And you want us to believe that we can work with you together. You don't stick a 9-inch knife in the man's back, pull it out 3 inches and say we're making progress. You understand me? What we need is change, real change. And we ain't got to deal with them to get change either. We ain't got to deal with them to get change. We can change them. If they don't want to change with us, then we're going to change them. We don't have to work with them at all. Period. Fuck y'all.
My name is Isaac Wallner, born and raised here in Kenosha, currently living in Racine due to work, but I want to start with this. When I was raised, my parents taught me to go out and be the best you can be, but never lose who you are and stand up for what your heart believes in. And when somebody's talking, show them respect, face them, make eye contact. And I can look around the room, and not everybody in this room is doing that. And here's the problem. Stand up for what you believe in, never lose your heart, and be who you are. Ladies and gentlemen, you're all seated while a member of your board has their back turned to his people. And you all should be fed up and frustrated because a chain is as strong as its weakest link, and that's your weakest link. So you got to represent to you. The people in here who decide to not wear a mask, you're also part of that weakest link. You expect us to follow policy, mandates, laws, whatever you want to call them, but you don't want to follow them yourselves. So what does that say to the community, to the citizens? We have a board of supervisors who will allow somebody who is racist and has made it publicly obvious to still sit on that board, and you guys don't do anything. You have an opportunity to shut that down. It's like we have an opportunity to shut all of this down for not doing what you're supposed to do. So you have all of an opportunity right now, as you guys go along your day, your time here, to stand up for Black lives, stand up for lives that are oppressed. The homeless problem in Kenosha is ridiculous, but you have a resolution right here to deal with what? Nothing that needs to get fixed. Not things that matter. I'm adopted. My parents are white. I grew up going to primarily white schools. No problem with that. But I was taught, though, to love everybody. And my parents, to this day, in the face of oppression, whether it's family, blood, friends, they would denounce that and they would take that out of their life. And that's family ties. You guys sit on a board as an elected position. That's not blood. My parents will cut out their blood out of their life to stand up for their children, their African American kids. You guys stand side by side with people on this board who can care less about African Americans in this community. I worked for a job, still do, and I was being treated racistly by a supervisor, a person of power in that company who's been there for a long time. I talked about it, I brought it up, and they asked me, what would you do if we don't fire him? Like, it's not so much what I would do, it's how would you look if you don't fire him? How would you look if you stand by the side of a man who has no problem calling me a 6-letter word I do not have to repeat in this room? How would you look? You stand by a racist silently, you might as well be racist yourself. You stand by Aaron Decker silently while she is obviously racist, you all might as well be racist yourself. I'm sorry, but that's the truth, because you're not showing us anything else. You don't want us to believe that. Show us something that we can do, that we have in our hearts, so we can see physically in the actions you do here in Kenosha that shows us that you are not racist. Otherwise, what do we have to go off of? How do we know you're not? When we call you out, I watch these board meetings online. We call you out, but yet it's the same thing every time. It doesn't change. And you guys, I see people paying attention. I know you're listening. Your heart has to be somewhere, but yet, everybody turn around. Somebody's still not. And you guys are okay with that? Are you guys okay with people? I talked about what happened the night during the protests. People who were peacefully out there protesting, medics, the press, got tear gas, pepper rounds shot at them by a sheriff department. That exact same sheriff department gives a 17-year-old who gunned down 3 people and killed 2 of them water. Thank them for being here. This happened in your city. Your city, which I'm sure a lot of you were born and raised in. Are you proud of that? Are you okay with that? Your actions say you are. I believe in actions more than I believe in words. You can say whatever you want to say until you're blue in the face, but until I see it, then what words are just words? They're simply air, hot air that you're blowing. And you expect me to catch it and believe in it? I'm not. You have police officers in Kenosha pointing case tonight while you're having this meeting who just beat a black man and said, oops, we got the wrong one. And you guys are okay with that. See, we have more pressing issues in infrastructure in Kenosha. We have more pressing issues.
Sir, would you kindly wrap it up?
I will wrap it up in a moment. Thank you. Please don't interrupt me because I did not interrupt you when you were talking. We have more pressing issues. We have a race issue. We have a dehumanization issue. I'm the founder of the Human First Project, which is to look at everybody as humans before anything else. Not a project to overcome, not a city, not a neighborhood to push to the side while a neighborhood crumbles and while we're trying to build up a downtown for tourism. But we have neighborhoods that are falling apart, schools that need help, African American minority children that need your support, that need you to uplift and stand up for them. And you guys aren't. I have nephews in these schools. And it's time that everybody, regardless of their skin color, their money, where they come from, who they are, who they decide to love, start to matter in this city. Because they're all human, just like all of you. And dehumanization is a thing. And that's exactly what one of your board members is doing right now. Won't even give us the time of day. Turn around and look at us, respect us as humans. And you guys are okay with that. So at what point is enough enough? At what point do you guys denounce police acting as they have a God complex and do whatever they want to the civilians?
Sir.
I'm almost done.
Thank you.
Because things need to be said. Because we have how many of these meetings and things haven't changed? How many more black lives do we have to lose or have severely injured until there's a change? So I'm going to leave with this. You all can do better. You can hold the police more accountable. I'm not anti-police because one day I will be one myself. So I'm not anti-police, but I believe in doing it the right way. You all have an opportunity to get this all together and do what's right by your citizens because they voted you in and they can vote you out. Remember that.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Dewan Wash. I'm one of the founders of Black Lives Activists of Kenosha. I just left Kenosha Police.
Sir, could I just have a second of your time? I want to remind all the speakers that are there, we're allowing 5 minutes so that other people can speak too. Try to keep it to 5 minutes. Thank you.
So I just left Kenosha Police Department with Ramon Tidwell's family. He's been beat up since he was 15 years old by the Kenosha Police Department. He's currently in the hospital. He was not charged with anything. He was not ticketed with anything. He was just beat up again and let go. I've heard a whole lot about peace in here tonight. I don't know about none of y'all, but by a show of hands, how many people are at peace? Anybody? Besides Aaron Decker, who I know is a white supremacist, but besides her, is anybody else at peace? Because I'm not at peace. I'm pissed off. I've been on the ground with the Kenosha residents non-violently protesting. I'm gonna walk you through what I've seen since I've been here. When Jacob Blake was shot 7 times in the back, we came out that night. I'm actually one of the 2 people that called Ben Crump, the other being his uncle. The following morning, we protested non-violently in the streets. And that first day, one of the police officers, the sheriff's officers, we demanded that the mayor come out and speak to the people. He did. We allowed him to go back into the building non-violently. We didn't accost him. We didn't beat him up. We didn't do any of that. But that sheriff's officer took it upon himself to take a 13-year-old girl and use her as a human shield. He then threw her to the ground and people trampled her. Then we were pepper sprayed. We came back and we non-violently demonstrated in front of a line of officers. We didn't engage them. We didn't have, because quite frankly, we ain't got nothing to say to them people. They ain't the ones making the laws. Y'all is. So we didn't engage with them. We had 2,000 people. Not one time did we throw a brick through any window. Not one time did we light a fire. And yeah, so y'all like to play this little game like the New York Times did today when they kept asking me, well, what do you do when somebody that you're protesting with lights a fire? I said, I don't know, because I quite frankly, I don't organize with people that light stuff on fire. I seen a whole lot of videos of white people doing it, though. And we the ones that get blamed for that, right? But y'all talk about peace. I'm not at peace. I'm pissed off. On the second night, we were out, non-violently demonstrating. It's around the time that I want to say the curfew had gotten put into effect. We got back to Civic Center Park. At this time, we had some counter-protesters come out. Again, we ain't got shit to say to them, excuse my French, but it's not our job as black people to educate white people on why y'all call white. I had that conversation with you last week. Y'all want to say things like, oh, well, I don't believe in white privilege, but you don't even know where white came from. So how can you say that you don't benefit from something when you don't even know where it began? That don't make no sense. But we got back to Civic Center Park. And as always, it's the police that escalated. If y'all had not come out that building, wouldn't nobody been over there? If wouldn't nobody over there, what we got to go over there and talk to or yell at? Y'all the ones that escalated the situation. On the third night, we non-violently demonstrated. And once again, we came back to a line of officers, a wall of officers, because y'all had called out the whole crew. Y'all had the Bearcats out there. I sat there and I watched them use that Bearcat like they was playing video games, shooting people that was just walking by with signs. Wasn't nobody doing nothing. But they was just shooting people because they don't have an opportunity to use those Bearcats that our federal government seems to think that you all need. And then, on the night that Kyle Rittenhouse murdered 2 people, after y'all welcomed him with open arms, because that's what happened, y'all. Y'all said, thank you, Kyle. Y'all said, welcome, Kyle. Y'all said, Kyle, you want something to drink? You want something to drink, Kyle? That's what y'all did. And then after he did that, he was able to walk right up back to y'all with no problem. He went home and he slept good that night. He out on bond right now. The brother that shot the police officer, after the police officer shot him, mind you, ain't none of no video. So we don't know what to believe in that situation. He got $1 million bond. He in jail right now. But what the police doing? At home sleep, comfortable. This is the problem. Y'all too comfortable with this situation. You're too comfortable with this situation. You got to get uncomfortable, because when you're uncomfortable, that means some moving inside of you, right? Tension is not bad. When there's a tension in the room, you want to cut through it. You want to figure out why it's there. You want to try to figure out why you feeling like you feeling. You should be uncomfortable, but right now you're too comfortable.
Sir, would you wrap it up, please?
I will wrap it up here in just a minute. But at the end of the day, this has been going on for a long time. Because see, a lot of y'all liberals in here, but y'all ain't the type of liberals that you think you is. Y'all ain't the progressive liberals. Y'all Dr. King's liberals. Y'all the liberals whose house is on fire that y'all marching us into. That's who y'all is, right? That's what y'all is, and that stuff needs to be said. Because quite frankly, like I said, I am pissed off that there's another black man that's in the hospital that y'all did, and ain't nobody down there at the police department. Some of our members are down there with them now, because it always has to be the community, but nobody that is elected that chooses to stand up. And that is a damn shame. You should feel ashamed of yourselves, because the elephant in the room is so damn big that can't nobody in here breathe. If you can't talk about this race issue right now,
thank you, sir.
If you can't, give me a minute. If you can't talk about this race issue right now, it's because you don't want to, like Aaron Decker, and you're a white supremacist.
Thank you, sir.
That's all. That's it. That's all. That's it.
Please.
That's all. You got a president right now that says we want
Wrap
to
it
take it
up
back
and
to the old
let somebody else
days.
speak, sir.
That says that you want to take it back to the old days, right? I was with those people that was here last night, Andy. So that odd feeling that you felt, bro, I feel that shit right now. It's real odd to me in this room because y'all white people is comfortable with the conditions that black people live and exist in. Why do black neighborhoods don't look like they do and white neighborhoods don't look like ours? It's because it's done on purpose.
Somebody escort him out of the room,
It's done on
please.
purpose. Y'all should feel ashamed.
Let's do this. Somebody talk. Thank you. Thank you, man. Tell him thank you. All right. My name is Tyrone Payton. Terry, you're my constituent, number 2. Black Lives Matter. Before I address anybody else over here, anybody here with black, brown skin, different color skin, different type of ethnicity, heritage, my name is Tyrone Payton. I am glad and I want to know every single one of you because they need to understand they're not born with your skin color. You can look at over and see all of them. Not a single one of the representatives is African American. Now I want to say something else. I'm white. I'm white. Aaron Decker. I'm white. You can look. You can turn around. All right, so all this aside, I appreciate the conversations I had with Mr. Nudo last week. Appreciate the conversations I had with Mr. Gens. Terry, I appreciate you sending me the resolution. I appreciate talking to those who actually want to talk and have conversations with these people. They matter, and they're telling you that they live in a city where they feel they don't matter. So you gotta respect every single word. I appreciate everyone that's actually looking over here and listening to them talk. Over the past month, I have, well, actually, even as recently as today, I have a cousin who is a suburban cop in Illinois who has determined that I'm a terrorist because I believe in Black Lives Matter. Learned that today. The other day, I got told by my friend since I was 17 years old and I'm 39 that my advocacy is rubbernecking. That what I do doesn't matter. I'm just doing it for grandstanding. Sure, I got gassed on that Sunday night, and I got gassed on that Monday night. So I'm so glad I could go outside and advocate and get rubbernecked. So if none of you want to take all these good people behind me seriously after tonight's meeting, then you're just rubbernecking too. It's not doing anything. Mr. Gens, we had a conversation earlier about doing stuff. We need to actually make things happen, not just addressing the damage that happened to Uptown or downtown, not just addressing how to get businesses up. It's resolving the situation of people of color being treated unfairly in this city. Starting there, we can actually try to move forward. Welcome anybody of color to talk to me.
Thank you.
My name is Clyde McLemore. I'm the founder of the Lake County chapter of Black Lives Matter. When Jacob got shot, and I live here in Kenosha, and for the last 2 years, but I'm from Lake County. And the reason why I have an apartment is because I've been hearing a lot about what's going on with the police here in Kenosha. This just didn't start when Jacob got shot. This is the icing of the cake. It's been going a lot of misuse and police powers here. And when Jacob got shot that night, we was there on the scene within 30 minutes of him getting shot. And it was a lot of destruction. The sheriff was out there with his deputies, about 25 to 50 of them, with about 500 people, and a riot was about to take off. Couple of police sheriff cars got busted up and everything. And I kindly went to the sheriff and I told him, come here, let me holler at you. I said, get your people out of here. because you're escalating this. I said, get your people out of here. Get your cars out. They drove them out on flat tires and stuff. I said, well, make sure you get out of here safe. Just get your people out of here before it takes off. And that was Sunday night. Then I turned around to everybody in the crowd. I said, 12 o'clock, we'll be here and we'll do a march. We'll start a protest. Nonviolent march. We started at 12 o'clock that Monday and we went on. Now, when they institute this curfew, we told everybody to go home, women and children, because I believe in safety. We told everybody, I got on the bullhorn and I said, go home. And I said, don't even walk by yourself because these guys might see you. And I said, grab somebody. If you came to this march by yourself, grab somebody and walk with them. That white malicious group, the new Ku Klux Klan, they came out and they were standing on the corner as we was going on our 4 o'clock march. And I walked over to them and I asked them, would y'all like to join a nonviolent march? Everybody told me don't even go over there. I went over there with them. They had the AR-14s, 15s, whatever the hell they are. And I went over to them. I said, you want to join us for the protest? For nonviolent? They said, no, we're here to protect the buildings. I said, you check brick and mortar over human life? And the argument is escalated, and everybody told me to come on, let's go, because I'm not scared. I believe God got me when I come out here, you know. But I'm going to tell you something. I've been to a lot of protests. I was down in Ferguson. I was in Minnesota. I was in Atlanta. I was in Louisville, Kentucky. I've been all over. And I tell you, I've never been tear gassed before in my life. I come to my home, Kenosha. I've laid out in the middle of the street. Medics got to help me because I'm being tear gassed. I watched Sheriff Beck deputize that white malicious group. This is the county. Y'all hired the sheriff. Y'all need to go do something about that. Recall him, fire him, get the hell out of there. Because he gave a 17-year-old permission to kill. That young man, I didn't know the other one that got killed, the first one. The second one that got killed had been out there on a non-violent protest all day. He was out there, because when I lead a protest, I have people around me because I can't see everything. So he watching cars and stuff. So it's something like a bodyguard. This guy watching and everything. It was hot that night. Everybody didn't leave. All we wanted was the women and children to leave. Y'all go because they got a curfew. We abide by y'all law. And do I believe in curfew? No, because this is not one of them countries. But instead, for the safety of the children and the ladies that was out there, I asked them to leave it. Anybody that was out there know that I did say, y'all, we got a curfew. Would y'all please leave? We was not out there. I'm going to tell you something. I was out at every march. I ain't burning up and I ain't looting on nothing. I ain't burning nothing. And if you look at that, you can see that that was professionally done. You know, we just want justice. And we ain't asking for it. We demanded it. We sick and tired. You know, there's an elephant, as Dewan says, the elephant in the room is a pink
appreciate your
elephant
comments.
in the room.
Wrap it up, please.
Everybody, please look around and see that elephant. We need justice out here. Black and brown people need justice. Thank y'all for letting me speak. But I'm going to tell y'all something. Y'all need to do some resolution on your sheriff. Because he lied on national TV and said he didn't see the tape. And I actually gave him the tape. It was my phone. If y'all saw it, it was my phone that he saw Jacob getting shot when he's sitting there watching it. So he lied on national TV. So if he lied on national TV, he gonna lie to y'all.
Thank you. Thank you. Any more citizens' comments? Please state your name,
Hello,
address for the record.
my
Thank you.
name is Vernell Patterson. I'm a lifelong resident of the 7th District. I grew up in a French school neighborhood down by Uptown, going to Paul's Pizza, going to the CYC, playing sports. The Kenosha Public Museum, the Dinosaur Museum, was actually me and my brother's place where we would go every day and look at the different displays. In the courthouse, we played tag in the courthouse, not knowing that the courthouse was a symbol of justice. I was also out them nights that the protests happened here, and I have some things that's forever burned in my memory, things that'll never go away. One of those things being shot at and tear gas out the window of the courthouse, having the courthouse used as a fortress when it's our right to protest in front of a courthouse. The last couple of weeks has been hell for me. I haven't been able to sleep. I probably sleep a couple hours a night. When I do sleep, I hear bangs. I see people getting shot. I'm getting chased again. Um, and I believe the elephant in the room is racism. That's everybody talking about different resolutions on what we can do. What we can do is first address racism, and systemic racism. I don't know if any of you guys look at the police scanner online. Are any of you guys familiar with some of the comments that we read every day? As a black man, you know how that feel. I shouldn't have to come outside and feel like I'm preparing for Armageddon. And then we hear talks of white supremacists and KKK coming to march here. Can somebody please stand up and say that's not a good idea to do right now? That people are scared, that our children are scared. A lot of us lost a lot of friends since all of this happened. I haven't lost many. I gained many because they understand what we mean when we say Black Lives Matter. They've been our homes. They come to our homes. They visit us. What else needs to be worked on is race relations in our community. What can we do to build race relations? Because we got taken back 40, 50 years. I'm also a part of a club that I don't think nobody in this room is a part of. I lost 4 friends in Kenosha due to the hands of the Kenosha Police Department. One of them being Michael Bill, one of them being Detree Span, one of them being Bobby Sherrard, and one of them being Aaron Seiler. So when that happened to Jacob Blake, it done something to me. The difference was that there was footage. There was no cover up. Poor Mr. Bill. Poor those families. It's always been a cover up. Can somebody please stand up for us? Because we feel we don't have nobody to stand up for us. I've been beat up by the cops here. I have my genitals squares. You know, I've had them try to stick fingers in my rectum, talking about they're looking for crack when in fact I had no crack, or I never sold crack. I never been convicted of selling crack. You know, can somebody please stand up, Mr. Andy Bird? I was on a podcast with you last week, me and some of my co-founders of UBMW. That stands for United Black and Brown Men and Women. We were on a podcast with you, and we talked to you, and we thought you were a good guy until last night when we saw you promoting fear mongering. Fear mongering. I was one of the people that was with those people. All they wanted to do was get something to eat. It didn't call it didn't for all those police to respond downtown like that. That wasn't called. We went downtown just because we saw that, and we knew that it was our right to go in front of the courthouse and protest peacefully. We knew that that was our First Amendment to have a freedom of speech. I was also out there the night that those 2 gentlemen were killed. I was right there. I was from here to you, Mr. Rose. I saw people lose their life. When has there ever been a homicide investigation where they didn't ask the people that were there what happened?
Sir, could you wrap it up
Telling
now?
the police that we right here. Hello? Why don't the police ask for the public to come forward? Anybody that knows information on what happened that night.
Thank you.
Well, no, 1 minute, sir. Please, respectfully, 1 minute, sir, and not even 1 minute.
Wrap it up.
How do we nationalize? How do we politicize a kid, a 17-year-old kid? That kid is 17-year-old, and they make him into be a hero. I've been to jail before. It's not fun being in solitary confinement by yourself. It do something to your mental. And for them to publicize him like that, and for people to make him into a hero, they are playing with his life. It could be somebody that's mentally unstable that could physically harm somebody's child. Can we remember that?
Sir, appreciate your comments. Thank you. Any other citizens' comments? Please step up to the podium.
Do you have eyes, dude? You ask when people are literally standing at the podium. I'm Emily Fair. I live in the 7th district. First off, it was ridiculous that you did not recall for community comments at the last meeting. Anyone who was sitting on the board could have asked for that to be a motion made to have the comments heard again. And every single one of you should have done that, seeing as the entire room over here and some of the people sitting over by you said that they couldn't hear anything. It was ridiculous. Before you make up your mind that rioters are to blame for what has transpired in Kenosha after the tragic shooting of Jacob Blake, pause, because it will show that you haven't done much self-educating on systemic racism or how 400 plus years of institutionalized oppression has affected the Black community. We the people do not have enough allotted time to teach you what you need to know to properly perform for every person in this community. You ask for these positions and you need to take on the work to create the committees and the policies to do that. And if you can't take on the work, you need to make committees to do the work for you. Involve members of the community on those committees, because those are the people you need to be listening to. So that's another reason why it was abhorrent that you wouldn't let the community speak. These are the people that you need to be listening to. Whew. You know, I'm a very anxious person. I don't know if you know that. Whew, thank you. Oh, thank you. You guys are so sweet. These guys are amazing, by the way. Take the time to get to know them. Like I said, we don't have the time to teach you, but I will run through some vocabulary words for you to catch up on. Qualified immunity, political apathy, redlining, gerrymandering, systemic racism, toxic positivity, implicit bias, white denial, white supremacy, willful ignorance, cognitive dissonance, racial gaslighting, white fragility, whitewashing history, fear-mongering, gentrification. Then look up the difference between a protester and a rioter, because those are two completely different things. Let's say you get a cut, but a 401-year-old rusty nail cuts you. You can throw a Band-Aid on the wound and it may close the opening, but you're going to have a rotting infection underneath it. You need to completely clean out the wound if you want any fresh building or any fresh skin to resurface. If you want people to express their anger in a more productive way, then you need to have better mental health available for all school-age children or young or seeking adults. Better behavioral management for every child, not just the ones deemed problematic. You need to you're looking to help the community right now because of what everybody's been going through. For one, the Black community is the community you need to be worried about the most. That is the community that you need to be worried about the most, because they're the most unworried about, especially in this community. While you're looking for this help, make sure that you put out a mass public announcement like you do with the civil arrests. Go ahead and put mass announcements of mental health help that you can provide for the community so that everyone gets a fighting chance, so that everybody can see that there is help if they need it and they know where to get it and how to get it. It's right there for them. If you have that availability, use it. Use that availability. reach the entire community like you've been doing, but do it in a positive manner, not in fear mongering. Thank you. Thank you. Everything begins with mental health and education, and everything prospers when we focus on mental health and education. If we start at our youth, that's how we can prosper. We teach them about racial inequity and equality. We teach them about what we did wrong in the past and how we're going to make it better and how we are making it better. You guys sit here right now, so it's your job to make those policies and to make those ordinance changes right now for the betterment of this community and for the Black people in this community. You can't rebuild the facade of Kenosha without rebuilding all of Kenosha. You can't just fix the buildings. You need to fix every part that systemic racism touches in Kenosha. The medical field, those guys. You know, you need to touch everywhere that it touches. You guys, you're completely non-Black committee right here. When you make these committees to do the work that you don't want to do or that you don't have time for, I'm sorry, you make sure that those committees look like the community, that they don't look like you, but they look like the community. Worry about local homes and businesses before you worry about government businesses like the corrections office. Worry about the local businesses before you even touch on that. There's no reason to
You can wrap it up, please.
Okay. Well, I hear you. He doesn't faze me. He does enrage me, but it's fine. If you don't want to put in the work, make the committees to do the work for you. It's necessary, it's needed. Lives are literally at stake right now. If you want to better Kenosha for everybody, not just the white people in Kenosha. Quit fear mongering. Andy Berg, I just read that. That's bullshit, dude. Like, come on. Gashki, I see you listening. I see you writing. I see you looking uncomfortable. That's great. But now what are you going to do about it? Because I've seen you at these meetings listening, but I haven't heard anything from you. Gully, thank you for speaking up. When you were asked to, you need to do it without being asked now. You are sitting in these positions because you were put in these positions. People have faith in you. We're supposed to have faith in you. So show us that we can. Show us that you're doing something that's going to better the entire community.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Madison Taft. I live in the north side of Kenosha. And what I'm going to say tonight, you guys probably heard a time or two, but it seems to go in one ear and out the other, so I'm going to say it again. It seems as though you as a whole have learned nothing. It is disgraceful, and you should be ashamed of yourselves. You say you care about the people of Kenosha, but I ask you now, do you care about my Black brothers and sisters, or do you see us as thugs and barbarians from your lack of knowledge and compassion? The shooting of Jacob Blake and how it is being handled is a crystal clear picture of the systematic racism deeply embedded in our police system and our political representatives. It is to the point that I am ashamed and horrified of my politicians. Apologies. It is to the I am begging you to listen to the people, your people. We demand change, and we demand that you hear us. Now, I'm going to say, I was out those nights in the riots. I was working as a medic with my cousin. My family was out there. We were out there. We were peacefully protesting, and the police came at us with tear gas and rubber bullets to the point where we had people running to the medical station, crying and screaming in pain. Now, you say it is a non-lethal solution to these issues, but I ask you, is it a humane? Is it humane? No, because we had people coming up to us with their eyes gouging out, people coming up to us with open wounds. Now, uptown and downtown Kenosha, what happened is horrible. But the thing is you guys care more about downtown and making money than the people of Kenosha as a whole. Uptown was burning up in flames, and you guys did nothing. The police did nothing for us. My mother lives in Uptown along with my sister, who's only 11. Now, their apartment building got broken into and ransacked. And you say that it's okay. You guys were focusing on a
building downtown rather than your own people that you guys say you care about. It is ridiculous and shameful. You guys need to take the time to learn about the issues that are actually going on in Kenosha. When we were out there and these people were screaming at us, they were also tear gassing us medics, the people that were just out there trying to help. Yes, the police and the National Guard came after peaceful people who just wanted to help. We had clear red marks on our bodies. We had medical representative on our person, and they didn't care. They came and they tear gassed us while we were treating people. Tell me, is that justified? Even though we were just peacefully protesting, is that justified? Because I don't think so. And I think you all need to take a deeper look at the situation and reevaluate your thoughts. It's shameful. It's to the point where I don't even feel like I can be a proud Kenosian because you guys don't actually care or represent us in any way or form. Our Black community is being destroyed by the systematic racism deeply embedded into our city. I ask you guys to please, I beg you guys to listen to us, to listen to everybody here tonight instead of sitting hunched over in your chairs, rubbing the sleep out of your eyes, and yes, turning away from everybody who's talking to you and ignoring everybody for what reason? Racism. Take a look and listen, because soon you guys are going to get elected out because it's clear that you guys don't care about us at all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth Webb, longtime resident of Kenosha. I'm also part of an organization that we started up here, United Black and Brown Men and Women. I came in here last week and listened to you all, came back tonight listening to you all, and in the midst of that, my nephew was drug out of his mom's car and beat by Kenosha police. I say that to say this. I am here as a representative of our community, with my community, because enough is enough. Has to stop. We are coming here, we came here to find solutions, to help, to come together, begging for your help. And then retaliation from a gang, because that's what they are, a gang in blue. They want to hurt people, they want to kill people, and it's not right. That we had so much we needed to talk about. I had so much that I needed to say and bring to the table with you guys. I can't even get it out right now because I am an emotional wreck right now. I marched to DC with Frank Nitti. I was out there when a racist came out of the house and shot at us. He didn't shoot in the air. He shot at us to kill us. He shot at a 10-year-old girl. She had to pretend like she was dead. Racism is rampant in America. This is enough. If you don't do something about those police officers that were out there on the day that Jacob Blake got shot, then it's gonna get worse. It's gonna get worse. You need to rebuild the city. You need to give the community what they need. You got to give them a chance to say what they need. Stop turning your backs on them. Stop turning a deaf ear to what they're saying, because what they're saying is important. What we need is important. If you don't see that, that's a problem for me. That's a problem for all of us. That's all I got to say tonight.
Thank you. Any other citizens, please step up to the podium.
Hi, I'm Alexandria Benanti. I live in the 22nd district with Aaron Decker. I wasn't planning on speaking tonight, but the behavior of someone who's supposed to represent my county is despicable. And she is not a member of someone in my community. It has been disgraceful and should not be allowed in your code of ethics as a committee. I'm also here because I represent small businesses in downtown Kenosha. I work for a nonprofit, and I can tell you that I've seen maybe 3 of you at community outreach meetings and helping alongside board up and paint up our city. I want to know why it's on nonprofits to help the community at large and get to know the people at large, because it is your job to be out there. So I don't have a lot to say, but I would like to invite you to come to a Building Our Future event that talks about community healing. And I'd like to invite you to a small business administration meeting that's happening on Sunday the 20th at Las Margaritas, because there's businesses here that are hurting, the people behind there are hurting, and they need to rebuild and build on that resolution that you want to bring to the table and have it matter. So that's all I have to say, except that I will be at the polls getting Aaron Decker out.
Thank you. Any other citizens' comments? Please step up to the podium.
Hello, my name is Sarah Chop. I don't currently live in Kenosha, but I was a Kenosha resident most of my life. But everything I do outside of my home, I do in Kenosha. Okay, so with that being said, what needs to, I can't tell you what the problems are, what the solutions are. That's up to you to figure out by communicating with your community. If any of you heard of the collective impact framework, you need to use it. This is a multi-dimensional issue that needs cross-sector collaboration, cross-party line collaboration, but the primary focus needs to be racial equity, and you need to focus on asking the community to define the problems, to define the solutions, and you need to make sure they get the resources they need to put their plans into action. So that's just step one, right? That is my big answer for you for that. But you need to learn to get angry. This shit should make you angry. You should be fucking angry at Aaron Decker sitting there with her blatant racism. You should be angry about overt racism. Every form of racism you should be fucking pissed about. You should challenge it everywhere you see it. Every opportunity you have to challenge it, you should use it. You need to learn to get angry. You need to learn to express that anger. You need to use that anger to create change. That's your responsibility as an individual, as a citizen. You have a responsibility to stop people from being normatively violent to each other and physically violent to each other. But the state has the fucking monopoly on violence.
Ma'am.
And they use it on
your language is out of line. Please refrain. I appreciate it.
From what?
Please.
So racism is okay, but saying fuck isn't?
Hello, my name is Brian Little. My district, Ron Frederick. So I come up here today in front of you guys, ready to speak, but I'm going to allow a gentleman of mine to speak for me. He could say what I need to articulate a lot better than what I can. Take the floor.
Systemic racism in a bubble, right? So Jonathan Massey, they say he shot the police officer, but Macy said the police shot him first. Macy ran because Macy was scared for his life because he know what the police is capable of. So he run to Indiana. Long story short, they find Jonathan. They lock his mama up. They lock his family up. They bring him to court. On his first appearance, they let the officer come to his first appearance and say, I fear for my life. If he get out of jail, he gonna do something to my family. They set his bond at $1 million. While the police went home. The kid was 17. Had an AR-15. Killed 2 people in front of me. Shot a man in the arm and walked straight to the police. They didn't do nothing. He went home, got a good night rest, and turned himself in. The person who brung him didn't get locked up. The militia that he was with was never investigated. The case, because, you know, The thing that kills me is the police ain't even tell you it was 2 shooters. It's in a bubble, people. Y'all locked this man's whole family up and let the kid with the 17 who don't even supposed to have a gun. He didn't get locked. Look, he might as well went to Burger King. This guy's family got locked up behind him shooting a police officer who he said shot him first. We don't even got a body cam to see who telling the truth and who lying. But he went to jail. Okay, so if that's the case, if he say the police shot him and the police say he shot him first, then why aren't they both in jail? Or why aren't they both out of jail waiting to go through the process? Why did why did the other police be able to come to his first appearance and say, this never happens. This police was never supposed to show up on his first appearance. He showed up on the man's first appearance and said that he feared for his life. You know what this guy did? The whole time, his public defender didn't even speak for him. It's in a bubble. His mom still at home. That militia he was with that I was talking to for 30 minutes, they still at home. They never got investigated. They never got locked up. They never told us it was 2 shooters. They told it was 1. They never said they found different kind of bullets. You know how I know that it was 2 bullets? Because the guy that got shot in the arm, that was an AR-15. It almost knocked his arm off, right? The guy who we picked up, who supposedly got shot in the head by the AR-15, didn't even have a hole in his head. He had a slit, right? If an AR-15 would have hit him in the head, would have had an open wound right here, but this side would have been out. So the police didn't even ask us no questions. They didn't do no investigation to pick up the bullets. They ain't told you nothing. Ain't nobody done nothing about none of this. And we sitting here talking about racism like it's a secret. Terry Rose, he been doing it. Look, you make the laws, you lock people up at the same time. You can't be on 2 committees at once. See, so, it's all here. We even got a person who can't even look nobody in the eyes here. That should be a big problem with the people that's sitting on this side of the room. When a person can't even look the people in their face and explain or do something or even act like they paying attention to what we saying, for her to turn around and not do nothing but look at a computer that can't even talk to her, she don't need to be in a seat. Y'all should be able to vote her out. That's how it goes. When everybody come to an agreement, just like your constituents said, lock him up, and y'all sat back just like this, in your seat just like that, and then do nothing. So nothing happens. And now we keep going through the same thing over and over again. The next thing you say is, I'm the one that's crazy. I'm the one that's burning down things. I'm the one that's out here doing the wildest thing, when the bad thing about it is,
Sir, could you please wrap it up now?
this kid didn't kill nobody black. That means white people lost too. We're not the only people losing out here. Y'all losing too. Even though his thing was to kill as many black people as he could,
standing, sir.
he killed some white people.
Thank you.
That's a sad game.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your comments.
My name is Rochelle Anderson Moore. You need my address? No? All right, fine. I have sat here, my first time ever coming to a county board meeting. Won't be my last, because this is ridiculous. Ms. Decker, I really don't even know who you are, but you are showing us who you are. And right now, if anything, I'm gonna use the word piss me off, is that you have the nerve to sit there with your back turned to this whole thing. So that lets me know who you are. And doing this whole thing, everything that we've been going through as me as a black woman in the city, I've grown up here. I've left, I've come back. I was raised here. I went to Bradford, McKinley, Bullen. I worked for Kenosha County as a social worker. And this really, really just, I can't even explain. However, me as a black person, and all my black brothers and sisters, we have dealt with enough. If we knew our history, if our children were taught the correct history, if your children were taught the correct history, we wouldn't be in this situation. But none of us have been taught the right thing. We all should be angry. Should be angry that you don't know what we as black people have gone through for 400 plus years. We are tired. And if you all don't do something, this whole nation, this whole United States of fucking America is going to go to rot.
Thank you.
So you all need to understand the seriousness of this issue. We are tired. I should not have to go to school and worry about whether or not my child is going to be treated right or my grandchildren are going to be treated right. I should not have to walk, as I'm a 64-year-old woman, I should not have to walk in the city that I grew up in and worry every night when I go home. That first night when I couldn't get through 39th Avenue because the, whatever they call it, the National Guard were there. I said, I just live right up the street. Can I go through? No, you can't. You have to go to the next stop. I went through this neighborhood where there's no lights. But when I got to a stop sign, there were 3 men, white men, standing on the corner with their guns. You can imagine at 12 o'clock at night what I felt, all by myself. They could have killed me just because I'm black. I don't carry a weapon, but I sure have thought about carrying a weapon because I have to protect myself. And I shouldn't have to do that. Not in the country that I was born in, that I was raised in, and definitely not in the city that I grew up in. So you all, if you don't know, and you don't know, because I can never help any of my white friends understand what it is to be black. But your privilege, and we're talking about not only just this, but even our systematic racism that goes on. We know that people in this community can't get good jobs. We know now that some of the jobs will never come back. We saw the mayor's plan. Yeah. What can I say? The mayor's plan to do what we've done downtown. We have no affordable housing in Kenosha. And that tells me that my mayor is wanting to put the black people out of Kenosha because we can't afford anything. I live in an apartment complex that every freaking year, my rent goes up $20. I am retired. I collect Social Security. So you know I'm on a limited income. And in a few years, I won't have any place to go because I won't be able to afford what they're charging. And so what Kenosha has shown me, which is really sad because I love Kenosha. First of all, you have to understand us black folks here, we're here because we love Kenosha. We're not here because y'all treat us right. We're here because we love Kenosha. So if you've never thought, you need to sit down with some black folks. You need to listen. We are tired. When I think about when my father came here, when we came here when I was 3 years old, because he came to have a better life for us in this America from being down south, coming out of being a sharecropper and coming out of slavery from my grandfather. My grandmother, 92 years old, continued to work for the slave family that she helped raise their children for generations after generations until she was 92 years old.
Ma'am, could you wrap
But
it
that's
up,
only
please?
my story.
Ma'am, I love your comments.
Because I've sat here. I've
Everybody's
sat here,
getting
and once
5
again, I
minutes,
got it.
and
Miss
there's other
Decker.
people that want to
Lord
speak,
Jesus.
but
Miss Decker.
I'm just giving everybody
Miss
the same
Decker.
courtesy.
Miss Decker. So all I'm going to say is that I hope that all that you've heard here tonight, that you will go home. Because you're going to go home to your children, and everything's going to be fine. But you don't understand what we have to explain to our children. Because every day I have to explain to my grandchildren, to my son, what to do and what not to do when he's stopped by a police. And I shouldn't have to do that. I shouldn't have to worry. So, oh, yes, feds hopping out on people, houses being blown up. Because trust me, black people have gotten threats. Okay, they have gotten threats, and so I'm one of the last thing I'm gonna say is that night when that young man killed those people, as the brother said, we were out protesting peacefully. We left. I got home and I'm laying in my bed and I get a news feed. And the news feed, all I see is a bunch of white people. And I even put on the feed, if it was a bunch of black people out there that night, we would all have been dead. There would have been not a cease, dismiss for about 20 times, and nobody got out of that tanker and made them cease and dismiss. So you understand my frustration, because I don't want to have to be scared in my own community. And I refuse to be scared in my own community. So I might be packing.
Thank you. Step up.
All right. Hello, good evening. My name is Dionise. I'm from Ron Frederick's district. Where is he at? Hey, what's up, friend? Okay, so I'm here to discuss about the lack of communication between you guys as our representatives and us as constituents and citizens of Kenosha. So I'm disappointed, first off, because it took so long to us to gather here and to actually discuss these things. It's been almost 2 weeks. It's been over 2 weeks since the civil unrest, since the shooting of Jacob Blake. And I'm just very disappointed that you guys had your meeting in secret. Like you guys had it closed, whatever, like it wasn't even announced until afterwards. Am I correct about that? There was like a closed meeting. Can I get confirmation? No? Oh, my apologies. Oh, okay, my apologies. Thank you for the clarification. All right, well, following what I had been misunderstood about, the last meeting, we weren't allowed public comments. I'm just confused as to how you guys are supposed to represent us as, as constituents if you're not hearing us out, if you're not listening to your constituents, if you're not listening to the communities that were affected by these problems. So according to the resolution, just 1 second to pull this out, whereas, what would we say? Whereas community frustration and anger at the lack of adequate means for unheeded or ignored by public institutions, that is you guys, to have their voices heard and meaningful actions to be taken as a result. I'm going to repeat that. To have their voices heard and meaningful actions be taken as a result. Please start this, okay? This isn't something that should be brought up just by your resolution. This isn't going to be a one-time deal. So yes, I'm asking that you guys have these conversations more honestly, that you have more transparency, that you come out to community events and community conversations. There's some happening at Uptown by the Lincoln neighborhood. I've seen some of you get there. Thank you. Please invite your fellow people. And oh, tomorrow? Oh yes, tomorrow there is a community event hosted by the Justice for Jacob Blake. May I share this? Yeah. Okay. In front of the Regimen Barbershop Collective. Is that the name? Thank you. On 52nd, thank you. Right across the street from the Boys and Girls Club. That will be from 10 in the morning to 5 p.m. There's going to be food and different resources and activities for kids in the community. I invite you all to come out and have these conversations, listen to your constituents, because you can't come up for these resolutions for Kenosha citizens, for the Uptown community, for Black folks. You can't make decisions for us without knowing what we stand for, what we want, what we need. So unfortunately, there isn't much representation here. There are no Black folks. I'm not even going to comment on Hispanics. There's just a lack of representation. I'm not even sure how many people are from the Uptown district, like live in the Uptown district. Can anyone confirm on that? Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yes. Okay. I appreciate that, Gish. Yeah, it's just to actually make decisions for these folks, for the community, for the Black community, you have to engage in these conversations. You have to listen and you have to be honest and you have to look them in the eye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Lakota Lichtwald, and I'm from the 8th District, so I'm a lifelong...
Get a little closer to the mic, sir.
A little closer to the mic? All right, there you go. So I've lived here pretty much my whole life, and kind of worked very hard to get to where I am. By that I mean, when I was younger, I used to get pulled over a lot. I dealt with, officers like Booker and Nighthawk, and anybody who's been around here for a while knows exactly who I'm talking about. So this is where I come from, and this is what I've seen. And to get to where I am, I basically had to become a hermit. I had to lock myself in my house and basically not come out. That's not healthy. I'm an introvert by nature, but still I'd like to get out, and I shouldn't have to do that within this community. But on August 23rd, things changed, and I felt the need to get back out, and I started filming things. And in the following 3 nights, I witnessed more than I ever had in Kenosha. I had been tear gassed. I had been hit with shrapnel from flashbang, hit with the pepper pellets. And I was there literally to document with a camera. And the people that were most threatening to me was law enforcement. That's not hyperbole. That is not hyperbole. It was law enforcement. I want you to think about that. I'm out there to document what is going on in my town, my community, where I was raised, where I've been. And the people that scared me the most were the people that were supposed to be there to protect us. When I would get ready to come out and do things after the first night, I put things on to protect myself from being hit with shrapnel from flashbangs or pepper pellets, or I had to go look for a gas mask in Kenosha. When did that happen? This town, I've been here, like I said before, I've dealt with some of the law enforcement, has always preached personal accountability when they arrest us. Where is that here? For a town that likes to preach personal accountability in their losses, in the legal system, where's the personal accountability? You've got Chief Meniscus saying, well, if they hadn't been out past curfew, well, what about the other people that were out with firearms past curfew? Where was that? Where was the personal accountability? This has got to change. Okay, it's got to stop. I know you keep getting called out, Aaron, but that is just some of the most disrespectful shit I've ever seen. So I hope that everybody here and everybody listening, get out and vote. If you want to see change, remove the old guard and put in new people. If you guys don't want to be removed, listen. Don't sit here and say your time is up or look like you got a glazed look on your face. Do something. Please. I have children that live here, and I don't want to have to tell my daughter again, please don't go out. Not because I'm scared of protesters, but because I'm scared that you might get hit by something from the police. So please do something. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Devin Johnson. You all know me. Blue hair, loud voice, quarter black. All right. There is no reason my darker skinned brothers are being killed and treated differently than me. I told all of you months ago that any of these fucking cops, my bad, I'm a little upset, that any of these cops could drag any one of us into an alley and no one would know what happened. They would have no accountability. I told you that months ago, and now you all look stupid. Oh my gosh. And now the whole community is here telling you guys how badly these people hurt us. Yeah, I got this. Erin Decker hasn't looked her county in the face once tonight. You all need racial bias training. You obviously have no idea what the Kenosha riots were about. You are so ignorant about racial disparities, especially Aaron Decker, Terry Rose, and Andy Berg. You are failing us, and we are the future. We will vote you racist out, and I still haven't heard any of you say Black Lives Matter, and it's been months now that I've been asking you to. And you're supposed to represent us, the people, your future, your future. I told you all months ago not to F this up. And look at you. You look like fools. You look stupid. Aaron Decker, have you reached out to Anthony Huber's, the hero Anthony Huber's mother, who lives in your district? Have you? You're cowards, thinking some tables and cops are gonna keep us fucking quiet. We see you for the monsters that you can be. And I want to say thank you to Jerry Gully for being one of the only people who's had a real fucking conversation with us in the past few months. And Aaron Decker, your racist comments will be known by all. They will be spread around Kenosha, and you will be voted out. You will be gone. And look at me when I'm speaking to you, or prove that you do not care what we are saying. You paint us as violent thugs after months of peaceful protest. KPD are murderers. They're attempted murderers, and we do not welcome killers in our home. Yes, Debbie.
Any other citizens? Seeing none, citizens' comments are closed.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to ask for a 10-minute recess.
Oh, of course. Excuse me, I have citizen comments to read.
I believe you have three.
I have two. From Katie Wallner from Kenosha. Hi there, my name is Katie Wallner. I'm writing to share my story as I feel it could open some minds and spark change in our systems and community. I am a 32-year-old single woman who served 8 years in the National Guard, and I work in addiction medicine. My birth story is a difficult and hard one for some people to hear.
My birth mother was a person who suffered from severe mental illness and addiction. She was a felon throughout Kenosha County. Biggest charge was armed robbery. My birth father was her parole officer at the time. He was terminated and left the state when he found out that my mother was pregnant with me. My birth mother was white. My birth father was black. I do not know them, and both sides refuse contact. That part of my story I feel relates to the lack of accountability on the criminal justice system, with anyone held to a higher standard of authority, no matter the ethnic background of the one being charged. I am living proof of a flawed system. In my first year of life, I was between 6 different homes. A short amount of time, I was being cared for by my birth mother. Finally, my adoptive parents wanted to end the back and forth, and they adopted me as their own. As a young child that went through some traumas, I struggled as well. As my parents said, we didn't know your behavior was linked to the traumas you experienced so young. Mental health services should be mandatory to those who are in foster care system and even after adoption. There is so much flaw in our criminal justice system and the lack of knowledge and support in our city to those who really need it. What I would like to see is more advocacy for mental health for those incarcerated. I would like to see those incarcerated continuing any mental health services and receiving their medications. I've heard plenty of stories where a person is incarcerated and they do not receive their medications. Then when they get out, they think they don't need it anymore, but go back to committing the same crimes or even worse. I would like to see those in power in our criminal justice system to be held accountable to the highest regard for abusing power, but also have better training and mental health support as well. I would also like to see more resources available for struggling children in and out of schools, a way where they don't have to be afraid or embarrassed to ask for help. People need to be heard and really listened to. To make change, I feel hearing people's stories, talking about what went wrong and how we can make real effort to change the narrative, we can start to get somewhere. Accountability matters most of all, and support for growth in our community. Look at the problems and the injustices, not skin color. Now from Karen Kempinen, from Kenosha, my concerns follow the quote from the edited County Board resolution. Be it further resolved that Kenosha County Board of Supervisors requests the budgetary inclusion for a contract with a training and development company to coordinate the efforts to address racial inequity in Kenosha County. One such company is Government Alliance on Race and Equity. The allocation of funding does not give the appearance of a serious commitment to dismantling systemic racism in Kenosha County. However, to ensure that this piece of the resolution is more than a mere appearance or checking off a box, the service that is contracted must be thoroughly vetted regarding the ability to deliver results in the needed areas that are specific to our community. We must look beyond websites with beautiful graphics and state-of-the-art buzzwords and evaluate several companies with rubric design with heavy input from the stakeholders in the Black community. I was impressed with the introductory statement on the website of Government Alliance on Race and Inequity, and I eagerly clicked through the quick links. However, I was met there with disappointment. Instead of addressing how to remediate the immediate problem for the food deserts in Kenosha, the food equity link talked about reforming big agriculture. Well, that might be a worthy long-term goal for another time. People in Kenosha are hungry and in need of accessible, healthy, and affordable food right now. Similarly, the broadband equity link laid out the detrimental effects on communities of color when there is not equal or adequate access to digital technology. However, as with all the quick links, the sources cited to describe successful programs that were all 5 to 10 years old. I find it very concerning that more recent resources were not cited to demonstrate the effectiveness of the company's service. I believe that the rubric with which to evaluate training and development companies must arise from intentional collaboration between county and representatives from the Black community that will identify priorities for change in our county. The change will need to be operational. What will it look like when we have achieved it? And then types of training needed will emerge. Finally, to make clear that the county board is not simply checking off a box, a timeline of specific short-term objectives needs to be developed for the rest of September of 2020 through November of 2020, beginning with the creation of a collaboration group with the county officials and stakeholders in the Black community. The agendas with their objectives should be set with input from all group members to enhance the productivity of the group. At the end of November, the group should publicly report on its progress. I look forward to the fruits of this opportunity and authentic action to dismantle systemic racism in Kenosha County. And that is the end of citizen comments.
5-10 minute break, okay? Supervisors, take your seats, please. Brooks can leave it. Go to work. Okay. So if he gets up and leaves, just so you know. Are all the supervisors take your chairs, please? Right now, we'll do supervisor committee chair reports. Bill Grady.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm here to report about the Public Works meeting we had recently in this very room just a week ago. We have some resolutions that will come forward before you this evening, having to do with right of way and so forth, so I'll not dwell upon those. We can have those be set forth at the proper time. But we can start out with highways. Highways, as you know from our area, is always a busy time of year, work and so forth. There has been an issue with the rail crossing, County Highway L in the village of Summers. It's very rough. It's been torn up. Supervisor Rodriguez has had some input on this, and I do know that it's to the point where it's going to go before the Commissioner of Railroads. So how the process usually works is that the road falls in disrepair, the area that's the crossing. We make appeal to the railroad, which is the process. The railroad usually does nothing. It has to go before the Commissioner of Railroads, and then the Commissioner of Railroads at some point inevitably usually rules in favor of the county, municipality, whatever it is, and orders the road work done. So that is in process. If Supervisor Rodriguez has anything to add to that, now's the time to say it. Otherwise, we'll move on. So Supervisor Rodriguez, any comment?
Not other than when I was working with Clement, we're gonna if the railroad company, I believe it's UP, decides that they will fix those crossings, we're gonna ask that they wait until after the pumpkin farm finishes their busy season, so as to not hurt them any more than loss of business due to COVID. So that is all.
Okay, thank you, Supervisor Rodriguez. Let's move on to County S, big project in the county, Highway 142, same road. Phase 1 is moving along pretty well. That's the part where you're seeing the construction, the pylons, the elevated roadbed over the rail lines. That's moving along well, and that will probably be mostly complete, believe it or not, this fall. It will be that piece of the puzzle completed. The part that's still quite active is County H to I-94. That's the frontage road and going to County H. It's closed at the present time. There's restricted traffic and it's under construction, which you're all really probably well aware. Up in Supervisor Nordigan's district, County F, big thing going on out there with the realignment. Have you been out there to see it, Mark?
I've gone past where I can, just trying to stay away from
Yeah.
all the closings and stuff, but
It's
moving along.
immediately north of Twin Lakes, and it looks otherworldly. It's all sculpted and terraced and so forth, and they're putting the road bed in. So it'll be a good project when it's done, but it's quite inconvenient for those people that live there. So we appreciate their cooperation. County K is basically done. That's the project that went from County Highway H to the Union Pacific Railway. That is basically done. Another thing that Supervisor Nordigan helped us with is the bike wayfinding side project throughout the county. And that was an initiative to basically put out informational postings and so forth on these bike right-of-ways and make it quote unquote safer for the bicycling public. But Supervisor Nordigan quite appropriately brought to the committee's attention that some of these roads, which are high traffic, high speed, have a lot of construction equipment on them, are probably solely unsuitable for the purpose of at least recreational bicycling if you value your personal safety. So that has been put on hold. We're not doing any more of the bike wayfinding at this particular time until we kind of sort this out and make sure that it's going to be done more appropriately. Any comments, Supervisor Nordigan?
Yeah, Supervisor Palmerville and I were at the Salem Lakes board meeting the other night, yesterday. Yeah. Sorry. And they had it on their agenda, and we wanted to make sure they were going to be involved in the process. So I feel like, I won't speak for Supervisor Palmerville, that there might be some town roads that we might be able to put some of these, and village roads to put these wayfinding signs on. Those two county highways are just way too dangerous unless they become drastically improved, and I haven't seen a plan where that would happen. I also went to the Randalltown board meeting as well, and asked that they also be looking into this as well and be part of this process to make this, either happen the best way we can make it, or, just eliminate it from certain areas and redo the whole issue. But I think Supervisor Wanke, if not Supervisor Palmerville, might also want to add to it.
If the chair would care to recognize Supervisor Winkie.
Yes, I've had conversations with the village of Twin Lakes, and the village president is in communication with Clement, and they have issues and they're working through that. That's all I have to say.
Okay, thank you. We'll continue on. You've heard me speak about County Y, which is 22nd Avenue, and County Highway A. That's a roundabout project. Will not happen this year. That will be next year in 2021. But it's in the budget, and you can look forward to that. KR, the section that was done, the most easterly section, of course, that's more wrapped up and done. But from County Highway H to State Highway 31, they're going over the construction, and that is going to be going on as we speak and right in through the fall of 2022. So we're looking at a fairly long timeline there. Highway 45, big road out west, that is basically completed now. That began, I believe, at Highway 50, went all the way up to Kenosha County border at KR, and that is that's done. Closer to the eastern edge of town, the Village of Summers has the Sheridan Road State Highway 32 Storm Sewer Project that's going on. That has been a real difficult thing due to soil conditions, due to all kinds of construction, let's just say difficulties. They are making progress, but as you probably witnessed, you can take Sheridan Road south from the county line, KR, all the way into Kenosha, but north, you're basically having to turn off at County E and come back, go to 22nd Avenue, go north. So that kind of wraps it up for highways, I think. Let's move on to facilities. Facilities, the Kenosha County Administration Building has a heat pump replacement that was started at the end of last month and will finish up about mid-October. Public Safety Exterior Sealants Project is a $200,000 bid, and that is currently almost wrapped up, but due to the unrest downtown, it's been delayed a bit. I think we'll see that finished up this coming month, or the month that we're in. We're taking a look at also facilities, the ceremonial courtroom. The scoping project is being completed. They've actually got pretty accurate price estimates on that if it does move forward. There's a renovation for DA juvenile intake that was awarded to Roche Construction, and that will be a project that will be starting shortly. The building we're in now, Job Center, has had issues with water infiltration through some of the windows. So that's being assessed and determined, the scope and the amount of capital will be put into it. And you can see something forthcoming on that. We're moving on briefly to parks, and you'll see a request for a DNR urban forestry grant that's coming before us this evening. Speak more on that later. Also, as kind of a good idea, I think, by the Parks Department, in each one of your packets, either physically or online, there's been quite a little summary about Kemper and how it became a part of Kenosha County, the memorandum of understanding between ourselves and Kemper Inc. Quite a few details. I'm sure that Supervisor Kubicki can tell you more detail than you'd ever want to know about that, but it's nice to have that just as a reference point because there are frequently asked questions and people want to know the business relationship, and I think it's good to have. We're going to finish up with golf. Golf is a big success story this year. We've had favorable weather. Junes have been historically not kind to us in Kenosha County golf these past several years. This June it was very good and the weather has been beneficial, so I think you'll see the operation solidly in the black. I think I could go on, but I won't test the assembled gatherings patience, and I'll conclude my reports. Thank you.
Thank you. Supervisor Berg.
Thank you. Today we had legislative committee and we had Senator Wangard and State Representative Samantha Kirkman attend. Some of what they brought forward was Senator Wangard talked about he has a PACT bill, P-A-C-T, that's coming forward that has a slew of topics in it. One of them, part of it is to clean up statutes in terms of law enforcement. Another one is dealing with the use of force when there is loss of life, trying to base it on the National Transportation Safety Board model. Moving on, he spoke about medical marijuana that was voted on by a referendum a couple years ago, and as of now, they see nothing in sight. However, Representative Kirkman did say that Representative Mary Falkowski has a medical marijuana bill coming forward that's being worked on right now, which is AB 750. They also referenced Representative Sargent's bill, which they believed went too far. In terms of funds for body cams, there was funds previously. It's all up in the air, but there's a potential for federal funds. We also asked about the impact of Kenosha County's racism as a health crisis, how that impacted the state and other counties, and there hasn't been anything that they're aware of. Senator Kirkman also spoke about the unemployment and that there's still residents waiting since June for their unemployment. Statistic she put out was that in 1 week there were 1 million calls while there was only 500 staff members to answer those calls. And in regards to the reconstruction of Kenosha, it was understood that currently there's no funding available, but that is because they need a bigger picture of the insurance issue. That's all I have. Thank you.
Supervisor Gasky.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Two parts to my supervisor comments tonight. One as the representative of the 7th District, Uptown, and the other as the chair of Planning and Development. I just want to thank each and every person who took several hours out of their schedule tonight to come and speak, to come and share their hearts with us as a board. Again, we're all aware of the devastating property damage that has occurred, much of it right within my own neighborhood, within my district. But I've said it before and I'll say it again, people are more important than property. And we need to focus upon fixing the broken people in our community, along with fixing the broken property in our neighborhoods. The reality is, again, I'm so thankful for everybody who took the time to speak tonight, because we can't begin to heal as a community until we begin to hear from our community. And so I just want to thank everybody who took the time tonight to be here. Shifting gears to planning and development, just a brief update on that. Two issues that I want to mention that aren't coming before us tonight. One, a conditional use permit for Kenosha beef that passed our committee. Pretty straightforward, but this allows for an expansion of the existing facility on the west facade facing 152nd Avenue. Just given where they're located, they need a conditional use permit basically anytime they're doing an update, whether it pertains to processing meat or not. So that did pass our committee. Another second conditional use permit that passed our committee was for a restaurant and tavern out in Wheatland called Sit and Bull. And we also were able to pass a conditional use permit through our committee to allow them some more creative outdoor dining options. And we're able to extend some additional flexibility to them as far as parking requirements and things like that, to be able to help them through these difficult times of the pandemic. Everything else from my committee will be coming up on the agenda later tonight. Just wanted to make the board aware of those two issues. Thank you.
Thank you. Ron Frederick, did you have a comment you wanted to make? I'll allow you because you're the senior member.
Do I have the floor?
Yes.
Supervisor Grady gave an excellent report on what's going on in highways and stuff, but I wonder if we could get, I know he's got it in front of him. I wonder if all of us could get a copy of what's going on in the county and the highways and the parks and everything else every month, giving at least once a month, so we can get a copy. So if somebody asks me what's going on with roads and highways, I can be able to tell them. I hear the report, but I can't remember the whole thing because it's so long. I said, I wonder if that's possible. Through the chair.
Go ahead.
Supervisor Frederick, I think that's entirely appropriate and it can be done. We'll just get the information disseminated to the body in general if you prefer, but I'll ask Public Works to make the information available to us all. Sure.
Thank you.
Full business. You have a comment to make? Committee report?
We'll have a report to make, yeah, which is in order. Mayor? Well, I'm gonna go for it then. Most of you guys.
I can't hear you.
Point of information. Why can you speak now on the supervisor reports when this change was ever made? Up to now, everybody had the chance to speak on supervisor reports on pretty much any topics that they wanted. So now we've been doing that. I know you're shaking your head, Joe, but everybody has been doing it. Not too long ago, someone made a comment. He talked about whatever happened during the full week of his birthday, where he has been, what he did, and everything. And now all of a sudden we're trying to stop a supervisor from making a comment. That's a bunch of crap.
Thank you, and I appreciate the opportunity to try and address that. If you look at our rules, they're very clear that we have two separate sections in the agenda. We have supervisor reports. It's clearly delineated in the rules that supervisor reports are designed to be reports from committee chairs occasional announcements about items going on in a supervisor's district, as well as items that a supervisor wishes to be referred to a committee. We also have a section for supervisor comments, which have to be in accordance with open meetings, placed on the agenda in advance with an indication as to what the topic is going to be. I am not going to disagree with you that depending on who is chairing the meeting, sometimes the leeway is provided, sometimes there is a more expansive definition as to what a report is. Although I know that I have provided guidance to the full board at least a couple of times trying to delineate what I believe is the proper difference between a report and a comment.
I can appreciate that, and I'm not arguing that point. I agree. However, that was always let the supervisor speak. In a way, it makes me feel good. In that way, I don't feel like I'm the only one that is not listened to. If I want to put a resolution, it will not be put on the agenda ever because it's not prime time. I don't know what in the hell prime time means, but I sent out some resolutions. They were not put it. I never had even the decency of a phone call to say what it was until I complained and then get a phone call at the last minute and say, I text you. And when I say, when in the heck did you text me? The answer is, well, probably today, maybe yesterday. Oh, it might even been last week. Show me when the damn text was sent. And if you cannot take care of it, if you want to make everything personal, I don't think you belong there. Step down or resign.
Go ahead. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I passed out, if anybody didn't get one, please let me know. An email from attorney, if I'm saying his last name right, Cry from, he's the attorney with the Legal Service Department, I guess you could say, from the Legislative Reference Bureau, nonpartisan aid up in Madison, helps out lawmakers with their proceedings. I know there's been some confusion about, whether or not we could have called a meeting to address what was happening with the protests and the rioting. I won't read this word for word, but he does cite Wisconsin State Statute, Chapter 19, with what could constitute a 2 hours notice. And then at the end, he said the board has discretion to determine whether it has good cause or not for less than 24-hour notice of a public meeting, but in no case may be posted less than 2 hours prior to the meeting. And then his contact information is at the top and his phone number is at the bottom if you have any questions. Moving on, as Corporation Counsel hinted that we're allowed to address things going on in our districts. I'll be addressing something that's happening not just in my district, but in everybody's district. So I'll start with this. Justice Sonia Sotomayor is the first Hispanic Supreme Court Justice in United States history. Senators Cruz, Rubio, and Menendez make up the only 3 Hispanic and Latino senators in the U.S. Senate. Former HUD Secretary Julian Castro, Ellen Ochoa was the first Hispanic woman in space. The first woman and the first Hispanic U.S. Surgeon General was Dr. Antonia Novello. And one not so prominent, but pretty prominent to myself, Rocky Rodriguez, my grandfather. He came to the United States in 1961 and landed in Miami, Florida. Very shortly after, he joined the U.S. Army at the height of the Vietnam War. Moving on, what I would like to bring to the attention of everybody here tonight from the public as well as my colleagues, today starts Hispanic Heritage Month here in the U.S. Hispanic Heritage Month recognizes and celebrates the contributions Americans tracing their roots to Spain, Mexico, Central America, South American, and Spanish-speaking nations of the Caribbean have made to American society and culture. The observance was born in 1968 when Congress authorized the president to issue an annual proclamation designating National Hispanic Heritage Week. Just 2 decades later, lawmakers expanded it to a month-long celebration stretching from September 15th to October 15th. The timing of this is key. Hispanic Heritage Month, just like its shorter precursor, always started on September 15th, a historically significant day that marks the anniversary of independence of 5 Latin American countries, Costa Rica, El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, and Nicaragua. The designated period also is a nod to those from Mexico and Chile, which celebrate their Independence Days on September 16th and September 18th, respectively. During National Hispanic Heritage Month, we celebrate the countless contributions that more than 60 million Hispanic Americans make to our culture and society. Hispanic Americans are not only the largest minority group in Kenosha County, but also the largest minority group throughout the United States today. And generations of Hispanic Americans have consistently helped make our country strong and prosperous. They contribute to our nation beyond description. Hispanic Americans embody the best of our American values, including commitment to faith, family, and country. They serve in our military and protect us as members of our law enforcement. The Hispanic American community has left an indelible mark on our government, culture, and economy. I'm proud of my personal Cuban heritage, and I ask that we all join myself and others in celebrating alongside our Hispanic and Latino family, friends, and neighbors. Thank you.
Old business.
Old Business Resolution 27 from the Human Services Committee, a resolution to amend Resolution 92, which amended Resolution number 150, which created the Kenosha County Health Department, the Kenosha County Board of Health, and the Kenosha County Board of Health pursuant to Wisconsin Statute 252 and certain agreements between the City of Kenosha and the County of Kenosha. From the
Move resolution 27. Thank you. The Board of Health bylaws have not been updated since 1996. The language was incorrect and reflected incorrect state statutes. Also, the bylaws were updated to mimic correct current state statute requirements. Important topics such as ethics, attendance requirements, and open meeting laws language was incorporated into these revised bylaws. Chapter 251 does allow for health boards to be governing, although they are currently not governing. There are no governing boards of health in Wisconsin. Kenosha County's Board of Health has not ever acted in a governing capacity. Since we have a county executive form of government, the board becomes advisory, and that's statute 251.9. In counties with a single health department and either a county executive or a county administrator, the county executive or county administrator may assume the powers and duties of a local board of health under this section. If a county executive or a county administrator elects to assume those powers and duties, the local board of health shall be only a policy-making body determining the broad outlines and principles governing the administration of the county health department. Governing boards do such things as hiring staff, developing budgets, setting strategic plan, and law enforcement, etc. The previous bylaws incorrectly included the word governing, even though they never acted in this capacity. So the language that was removed was regulatory functions. In the old version were explained such as revoking licenses. This act no longer exists by the Board of Health. Membership. The new bylaws reflect that the City of Kenosha representative that was not formally included. They also commit to including more members that represent the social determinants of health, such as housing, transportation, criminal justice, incarceration, etc. Public health is not a medical model of health. It's much bigger than medicine and care for the ill. Its foundation is in prevention and not merely the absence of disease. Having members that are experts in the social determinants of health will bolster what we can do in the community beyond just physical health to all 8 dimensions of wellness. The Human Services Committee also had early questions and asked for a red line version to see the changes. I did send that all to the entire county board. That spreadsheet comparing the old bylaws to the new bylaws were touted as a gold standard. Human Services Committee passed the bylaws unanimously after review of this spreadsheet.
Jeff?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I will not be supporting this tonight for a couple reasons.
Supervisor Belsky just pointed out that the county exec actually oversees the health department. And I thought in the red line version, which I don't have tonight, it said something about the health director governing that. So that's one issue I have. I don't want the health director being in charge of that. The Board of Health. The second thing is I don't want the Board of Health to be changed to be social advocates. I want it to be health experts, and it's a health department that includes mental health, other health of the community. And that's what I would rather have it be than social advocates. So that's why I'll be voting against it. Thank you.
I share some of the concerns that have been expressed by Supervisor Gintz. This is a much more significant change than the brief explanation given here. I've always viewed the Board of Health as a medical model. The issues of the physical and mental health of the community are enormous issues. Now we seem to be going in another direction, and I'm very unclear what direction that is. And before I support it, and I'm not closed-minded to supporting it, but I want to clearly understand what it is that we are authorizing them to do. Because I don't want to see a situation where 2-3 months from now they're off on what we think is a tangent, and the answer is, well, you know, you as county board authorized us to do that because that's within this broad rubric of health. If we're going to go in some expansive direction, I want to know very clearly up front what we are authorizing them to do. And I may support it, I may not, but I don't want to run into this thing blindly. So I'm going to move to refer this back to the committee, and I would hope that it would be flagged to the rest of the county boards so that we could come there and discuss this further. I'm not prepared to support it with the very brief explanation I've been given here tonight and go into this as blindly as I think we are going into it. So that's my motion.
On the referral?
Correct. Corporation,
Burke?
through the chair to Corporation Council, knowing the discussions that we've had on this, have you guys looked over this in terms of the legality, and is everything in line on state statutes?
Well, I did not work on it personally. Yes, my office worked with the public health director, Dr. Freiheit, as well as other, I believe, members of the health department to work on the updates and revisions to the bylaws. I have no reason to believe that they are in any way not compatible with state statutes.
So saying that if we were to not pass this and we stuck with the old jargon, does that open us up for any sort of litigation or not, whatnot?
Again, with the caveat that I've not looked at this very carefully personally, it is my understanding that one of the motivating factors in doing these revisions was to try to clean it up, make sure that it was in compliance with statutes, make sure that the references were accurate. We would be continuing to work with what I believe at best is an out-of-date set of bylaws.
Okay, therefore I will not be supporting the what's on the floor now, and I'll be supporting what's written.
Terry? Rose?
Yes, I'm not suggesting that what is written is illegal. I'm just saying that that it's within our authority to define the scope and authority and power of the Board of Health. When Corporation Council says we're updating some of the language here, we're referring to who is being appointed to that board and what categories of occupations they need to be defined within. But clearly, it is perfectly legal for this board to say that the health board has the more traditional scope of authority, or the health department of the medical model, as the term has been used here, as opposed to going off into directions that I'm very unclear about. And I think we need to know what those are. They haven't been defined tonight. And that's not a question of is it legal or not. Either way is legal. What we need to know is, do we want to empower them to do things that they don't do now? And if we are, we need to know what those things are. It hasn't been defined. That's why I'm asking it be referred back so that a clear explanation can be given and defined to this board before we vote on it.
All right, Supervisor Laura Belsky, I want to just mention that if it doesn't go back, if it goes back to the committee, whoever votes against and sending it back there to the committee needs to be notified that you're going to have a meeting and should attend that meeting to get brought up to date and make sure that the lawyer's there that wrote the information.
To the chair, I was going to ask if Dr. Freiheit is on the line. And if she would care to comment.
Hello, I am. Thank you. If I could try to answer some of the questions, I think the board is acting in an advisory capacity now. This isn't a change to how they're acting now. It is just an update to the bylaws. With regard to the social determinants of health, I completely agree. Mental health is one of the social determinants of health. And so we want to make sure that we're including all the aspects of health equity and social determinants of health through their advisory capacity, so that we're not acting under just a medical model. There are very educated people under all the other social determinants of health too that we want to make sure that we're able to include.
Dr. Freiheit, can you tell me if your role is changing? If
Point of order, Mr. Chair, we're on the referral.
This is on the referral. No, she's talking on the referral.
She's talking on the substance of what's in front of us tonight, not on the referral.
This has to do with the referral.
Could you explain to us your role versus the county executive's role?
So my role is really just assisting with the conversation and giving them updates on the health department and helping with agenda setting. And the county executive sets who or puts forward names for who can fill vacancies.
Thank you.
Supervisor Kenosha.
Question on the referral to Chair Belsky. If we were to refer this back to your committee to tighten up the language or to add additional clarification, would it in any way jeopardize anything? Is this I guess what I'm asking, is this a time sensitive matter if we refer it back to your committee, or is it crucial that we take action tonight?
No, but it's been referred, it's been delayed, so everyone had an opportunity to read the red line version and to do the comparison and to ask any questions before we came tonight. So I'm a little perplexed why this is just now being brought to our attention.
Supervisor Gully.
Just for clarity, there's a large body of evidence that addressing public health through the social determinants of health yields a lot of positive things: lower cost, better outcomes. This is not a revolutionary approach, and this follows the model that many health departments are taking nationwide. And I don't think the word that was thrown around, social advocates, I don't think that's an appropriate or an accurate term of what we're saying here.
All I'm saying is that the explanation here given to the board this evening is not defined enough so that we know precisely what we are granting to that the health department or the health board. And Supervisor Gully makes a description here very briefly that is somewhat enlightening, but I think it needs to be defined. He hasn't defined it. The chair of the committee hasn't defined it. The health director hasn't defined it. When you're coming to the board trying to persuade us to change, to go into a new direction, at least define it to us. I'll come to your meeting next time. Just tell me when it is. And I would encourage others to do so. But if you come to the board to sell us something, a big change, then tell us what you're doing.
Supervisor Frederick.
It seems to me that if we refer it back, all we're going to get is the same thing coming back, because if I read this right, this is we're just advisory anyway. So nothing's going to change if we refer it back. If we refer it back, Supervisor Belsey through the chair, what are you going to change?
Nothing.
So it's advisory. We got to accept that fact. We do the budget, but it's advisory.
It's aligned with our state statutes.
It's going to come back the same way.
Supervisor Gully. Jeff Gantz.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I called like 4 counties. I'm not just coming here, sitting here blowing smoke out of my ass. Okay. I called 4 counties. They didn't even have the same type of government as we did. So, I mean, and then I called, I tried to call the attorney for WCA. I made all kinds of calls. I talked to Cardamone and Corporation Counsel Cardamone. And I mean, I'm not comfortable with to sit here and say this is advisory. They're changing the makeup of the health department. I mean, the bylaw changes. I'm happy to say, cleaning up a little this and that, but that's not what this is. This is changing who sits on the Board of Health and how they report. And the resolution is really not written that well. It doesn't, I had to get the red line version to find out what the heck was going on. So, I mean, with all due respect, it's not just advisory and we're changing a few periods and commas. We're changing how the board is done. I mean, social advocacy. I read that right out of the red line. Well, I'm not making that up. So, I mean, I'm not going to support it. I don't care if we send it back. I'm not going to support it. It's not where I think the Board of Health should go. Thank you.
See no other roll call?
This is on the referral back to committee. Uhas?
Yes.
Winky?
Yes.
Wambolt? Rose?
Yes.
Rodriguez?
Yes.
Palmaville?
Yes.
O'Day? Nudo? Nordigan?
Yes.
Mauer?
Yes.
Kubicki?
No.
Gully?
No.
Grady?
Aye.
Gantz? Ron Frederick? Franco?
No.
Boyd Frederick?
Yes.
Decker?
Yes.
Celebrity? Beth?
No.
Belsky? Gashke?
No.
$13 yes, 9 no. So it goes back to the committee. It's referred back to the committee.
Mhm. Ready? New business.
Ordinance 16 from the Planning, Development, and Extension Education Committee, An ordinance regarding Elmer R. Weiss request for an amendment to the adopted land use plan map for Kenosha County 2035. Map 65 of the comprehensive plan from farmland protection and non-farmed wetland to farmland protection, suburban density residential and non-farmed wetland, town of Paris. From the PDEC committee, Gashke, yes. Mauer, yes. Beth, yes. Nudo, excuse. Rodriguez, yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move ordinance 16. All right, thank you. This property is located at the southeast corner of the intersection of County Trunk Highways N and D. And this is a comprehensive planned amendment, and it would allow an amendment to the county's plan for a change from farmland protection and non-farmed wetland, farmland protection, suburban density residential, and non-farmed wetland. This did pass the town of Paris. They recommend the approval. This also passed through our committee, and we also urge your support tonight. Thank you.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried, thank you.
Ordinance 17 from the Planning, Development, and Extension Education Committee, an ordinance regarding Elmer L. Weiss requests a rezoning A1 Agricultural Preservation District to A1 Agriculture Preservation District, R2 Suburban Density Residential District, and Agricultural Preservation Planned Unit Development Overlay District, Town of Paris. From the PDEC Committee, Gashke, yes. Mauer, yes. Beth, yes. Nudo, excuse. Rodriguez, yes.
Supervisor Gashke.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move ordinance 17.
A motion by Supervisor Gashke, second by Supervisor Beth. Supervisor Gashke.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chair. Same property at the corners of trunks N and D. This rezoning would allow for the existing single-family residence that's already there to be subdivided on approximately 2.8 acres from the existing 79-acre farm tract. So just parceling off a small amount there. Again, the town of Paris did recommend approval. This also passed our committee, and we urge your support tonight.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Carried, thank you.
Ordinance 18 from the Planning, Development, Extension Education Committee, an ordinance regarding Bernadette M. Vasco Trust, owner, PDEC sponsor, requesting a rezoning from R3 Urban Single Family Residential and C1 Lowland Resource Conservancy to R3 Urban Single Family Residential and C1 Lowland Resource, Town of Randall. From PDEC Committee, Gashke, yes. Mauer, yes. Beth, yes. Nudo, excuse. Rodriguez, yes.
Supervisor Gashke.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move ordinance 18.
Supervisor Gashke, second by Supervisor Rodriguez. Supervisor Gashke.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So this property is located approximately 38 feet east of 402nd Ave and 195 feet south of 91st Street. This is in the town of Randall. And this PDEC-sponsored rezoning would reflect the wetland boundary to coincide with an actual field delineation. So in other words, this would actually just reflect the reality that we've seen. The Planning and Development and Extension Committee reviewed this item, and we do recommend approval tonight. Thank you.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Nay? Carried, thank you.
Resolution 34 from the Finance and Administration Committee, a resolution 2020 County Clerk resolution to recognize additional revenue and modify expenditure budgets for equipment and services through the 2020 Help America Vote Act 2002 HAVA grant. From the Finance Administration Committee, Rose, yes. Gentz, yes. Franco, yes. Frederick, yes. Kubicki, yes. Wamble, yes. Uhas, yes.
Supervisor Rose.
I would move the resolution.
Motion by Supervisor Rose, second by Supervisor Gant. Supervisor Rose.
All right, thank you. This resolution is aimed at assisting the county clerk in making sure that the election is secure and additional funding for that purpose.
Any discussion? Supervisor Rodriguez.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just reading this, it says the special election fund. Will this money only be used for special elections, or whoever can answer that, whether it's registered?
If I can answer for you, yes, it's being put into a special account, not mixed with any other money, so that we are able to keep track of all the expenditures. If you read further in the resolution, that the money has to be spent by December 31st, 2020. And if it isn't, we have to return whatever funds are not spent. So we have to give an accountability for what we have spent the money on. And if we have anything left, we have to return it to the Wisconsin Election Commission.
And what do you plan on purchasing with it?
No. I have a list here of what we requested to be able to spend on it. One of the items is election system security backup, and that is in order to, so if we were to have a failure with one of our servers, that would allow for us to continue to hold the election. And another one is a monitoring system, and what that does is it monitors our security with the elections. With our servers that we use, it looks for any kind of vulnerability and that we can address it. Also a security program audit, which pretty much the other one that I mentioned would be working on a regular basis. The security audit would need to take place, I think, before we started the other process of that continued. We'd want to have a complete audit to make sure that we are up to standard. The other thing would be election room security cameras. Only the clerk staff and a couple of IT that I work with for elections are allowed in the election room. That no one else is to be in there unless they're with one of us. And then it also would help with training, security training for, I work with all the municipal clerks, so security training with them and with my staff.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? We have a roll call vote on this?
Wambolt, Franco,
Yes.
Winky,
Yes.
Palmaville,
Yes.
Gully,
Yes.
Nordigan,
Yes.
O'Day,
Yes.
Belsky, Rodriguez,
Yes.
Celebrity, Decker,
Yes.
Beth,
Yes.
Ron Frederick, Gashke,
Yes.
Nudo, Uhas,
Aye.
Grady,
Aye.
Gentz, Kubicki,
Yes.
Mauer,
Yes.
Rose, Boyd Frederick.
Motion carried.
Resolution 35 from the Human Services and Finance Administration Committees, a resolution to modify the Division of Children and Family Services 2020 budget for a grant, the Foster Family Support Network. From Human Services Committee, Belsky excused, Berg yes, Celebrity yes, Gully yes, Beth yes, Decker excused, Winky yes. From Finance and Administration, Rose yes, Gentz yes, Franco yes, Frederick yes, Kubicki yes, Wamble yes, Uhas yes.
Supervisor Celebrity?
Nope, it's Belsky.
You have it, Laura?
I move resolution 35.
Can't hear you.
Thank you. The Kenosha County Department of Human Services Division of Children and Family Services was awarded a one-year grant effective July 1st, 2020 for $55,323 from the state of Wisconsin Department of Children and Families. 48 agencies applied for the grant. Only 15 grants were awarded. This grant will be used to expand the foster family support network to provide support to local foster families with the goal of increasing foster parent retention and increasing foster parent recruitment. The Foster Family Support Network was developed by One Hope, a private community-based nonprofit agency. Currently, One Hope is piloting a small network of volunteers that support 14 Kenosha County foster families. Volunteers support foster families in a number of ways, including providing meals to foster family, helping complete household chores, and at times offering a night of babysitting. These supports reduce the burdens for foster families and provide support and encouragement to foster parents. An expanded network will recruit over 100 volunteers to support at least 54 Kenosha County licensed foster families and the 75 to 100 children placed in their homes. The Division of Children and Family Services will contact with One Hope to run the Foster Family Support Network. The resolution to modify the Division of Children and Family Services budget poses no levy-funded cost to the county. I recommend that the County Board of Supervisors support this resolution to modify the Division of Children and Family Services 2020 budget for a grant, the Foster Family Support Network, to provide needed support to our local Kenosha County foster families.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I did ask the question about when this funding ran out, what would happen to the families and the kids? Because that was a concern of mine. I didn't want to set some children up with families and then the grant run out. And I was assured that there was other money available and there would be other sources to keep it going. So I just wanted the board to know. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Just a budget modification, roll call.
Palmaville,
Yes.
Gully,
Yes.
Gashke,
Yes.
O'Day, Gantz, Kubicki,
Yes.
Mauer, Rose, Belsky,
Yes.
Rodriguez, Celebrate, Decker,
Yes.
Beth,
Yes.
Ron Frederick,
Yes.
Wambolt, Franco,
Yes.
Winky,
Yes.
Boyd Frederick, Nudo, Uhas,
Aye.
Grady,
Aye.
Nordigan.
Aye.
Motion carried. Thank you.
Resolution 36 from the Human Services Committee, a resolution to approve the appointment of Jerry Gully to the Racine Kenosha Community Action Agency Board. Human Services Committee, Belsky excused, Berg, yes. Celebrate, yes. Gully, yes. Beth, yes. Decker excused, Winky, yes.
Supervisor Belsky.
I move resolution 36.
Motion by Supervisor Belsky, second by Supervisor Beth. Supervisor Beth.
Supervisor Gully has been nominated to serve a 3-year term on the Racine Kenosha Community Action Agency upon immediate confirmation by the county board and continuing until the first day of September 2023. Supervisor Gully is ideal for this appointment. Through his employment, he has expert experience in employee health benefits, health communications, treatment adherence, health literacy, and public health policy. I would like to highlight that Supervisor Gully has also hosted 6 sons from different countries and enjoys facilitating intercultural development and learning. Based upon his qualifications and trust in judgment, I ask that you join the Human Services Committee in the resolution to approve the appointment of Jerry Gully to the Racine Kenosha Community Action Agency Board.
Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Roll call.
Gully,
Abstaining as it should be reflected. I abstained in the committee meeting as well. I think you read it as a
Oh,
favorable.
yeah, they didn't have that mark, but
All right, abstaining both.
okay, I'll make note of that. Celebrity? Winky?
Yes.
Beth?
Yes.
Ron Frederick? Rose? Nordigan?
Aye.
O'Day?
Aye.
Belsky? Rodriguez? Boyd Frederick? Nudo? Gashki?
Aye.
Franco?
Aye.
Decker?
Aye.
Uhas?
Aye.
Palmaville?
Aye.
Grady?
Aye.
Gentz? Kubicki?
Yes.
Mauer? Wamble? Resolution passes.
Motion carried. Thank you.
Let's see. From the Planning, Resolution 37, from the Planning, Development, and Extension Education Committee, a resolution request to approve the appointment of Christopher Brown to the Kenosha County Zoning Board of Adjustments. From PDEC, Gashki, yes. Mauer, yes. Beth, yes. Nudo, excuse. Rodriguez, yes.
Supervisor Gashke.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move resolution 37.
Motion by Supervisor Gashke is second by Supervisor Mauer. Supervisor Gashke.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So this is a reappointment of Mr. Brown. He has served in this role well, and we appreciate his service. He's willing to continue serving, this time serving on the board as an alternate. And in fact, he's already exercised his role as an alternate to allow the business of this committee to continue moving forward of this board. This did pass our committee. Mr. Brown, as I said, has served well, and we would appreciate his continued service.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Roll call.
Grady?
Aye.
Rose? Gentz? Belsky? Celebrity? Kubicki?
Yes.
Gashki?
Aye.
Rodriguez?
Aye.
O'Day?
Aye.
Ron Frederick? Nudo? Franco?
Yes.
Boyd Frederick? Mauer? Gully?
Yes.
Wambolt? Uhas?
Aye.
Beth?
Yes.
Palmaville?
Yes.
Nordigan?
Aye.
Decker?
Aye.
Winky?
Motion carried. Thank you.
Resolution 38 from the Planning, Development, and Extension Education Committee, a resolution regarding the request of Elmer R. Weiss requesting amendment to the adopted land use plan map for Kenosha County 2035, map 65 of the comprehensive plan from farmland protection and non-farmed wetland to farmland protection, suburban density residential, non-farmed wetland, town of Paris. From the PDEC committee, Gashki, yes. Mauer, yes. Beth, yes. Nudo, excuse. Rodriguez, yes.
Supervisor Gashke.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move resolution 38.
Motion by Supervisor Gashke, second by Supervisor Beth. Supervisor Gashke.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So as mentioned, this property is located on the southeast corner of the intersection between County Highway N and County Trunk Highway D, same property that we talked about earlier. And the reason we're considering this now is because the state requires a resolution from our committee as well as an ordinance from our full board here in order to be able to amend the comprehensive plan. So this resolution tonight, it would allow for an amendment to the county's comprehensive plan for a change from farmland protection and non-farmed wetland to farmland protection, suburban density residential, and non-farmed wetland. Again, the town of Paris did recommend approval. This also passed our committee, and we ask for your support tonight.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried. Thank you.
Resolution 39 from the Public Works and Facilities and Finance and Administration Committees, a resolution authorizing the acquisition of right-of-way and the construction of transportation improvements at intersection of Kenosha County Trunk Highways U and Q. From Public Works and Facilities, Grady, yes. Franco, yes. Belsky, yes. Berg, yes. Nudo, yes. Palmaville, yes. Rodriguez, yes. Finance and Administration Committee, Rose, yes. Gentz, yes. Franco, yes. Frederick, yes. Kubicki, yes. Wamble, yes. Uhas, yes.
Supervisor Grady.
Move the resolution.
The motion by Supervisor Grady and second by Supervisor Rose. Supervisor Grady.
If you look at resolutions 39 and 40, they're quite similar. We're going to dwell on 39 first of all. When projected improvements come to an area, the developer will wind up paying the fees associated with that. Kenosha County really acts as kind of like a conduit in the sense that they will acquire the right of way, but they're not going to pay for it. We don't pay for it. The engineering costs, the construction. So we accounted the right of way, acquire the right of way. We manage a project, make sure it's done properly, and that it's done according to the specifications. So there's no impact to Kenosha County taxpayers on this. It's just more of a conduit or procedural thing. So on this particular one, we're looking at the amount of $6,501,000, some odd cents after that. And it will be paid entirely by the developer. The county is not on the hook for any of this. So that being said, I ask for your approval.
Any discussion? It's a modification. We have a roll call.
Wamble, Franco,
Yes.
Winky, Palmaville,
Yes.
Gully,
Yes.
Nordigan,
Yes.
O'Day,
Yes.
Belsky, Rodriguez,
Yes.
Yashki, Decker,
Yes.
Beth,
Yes.
Ron Frederick, Rose, Boyd Frederick, Nudo, Uhas,
Aye.
Grady,
Aye.
Gentz, Kubicki,
Yes.
Mauer, Celebrate.
Motion carried. Thank you.
Resolution 40 from the Public Works and Facilities and Finance and Administration Committees, a resolution authorizing the acquisition of right-of-way and the construction of transportation improvements at the intersection of Kenosha County Trunk Highways U and C. From Public Works and Facilities, Grady, yes. Franco, yes. Belsky, yes. Berg, yes. Nudo, yes. Palmaville, yes. Rodriguez, yes. From Finance and Administration, Rose, yes. Gentz, yes. Franco, yes. Frederick, yes. Kubicki, yes. Wamble, yes. Uhas, yes.
Supervisor Grady.
Move the resolution.
The motion by Supervisor Grady, second by Supervisor Rose. Supervisor Grady.
Yes, very similar to the one we just approved. However, this does have components in both Bristol and Pleasant Prairie. It's a smaller amount, $963,000, but the principles are exactly the same in the sense that the county acts as the conduit. The developer pays for all the costs associated with it, and I ask for your approval this evening.
Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote.
Wamble, Franco,
Yes.
Winky, Palmaville,
Yes.
Gully,
Yes.
Nordigan,
Aye.
O'Day,
Yes.
Belsky, Rodriguez, Celebrate, Decker,
Yes.
Beth,
Yes.
Ron Frederick, Yashki,
Yes.
Nudo, Uhas,
Aye.
Grady,
Aye.
Gentz, Kubicki,
Yes.
Mauer, Rose, Boyd Frederick.
Motion carried. Thank you.
Resolution 41 from the Public Works and Facilities and Finance and Administration Committees, a resolution to apply for funding from the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources Urban Forestry Grant for the purpose of developing a natural resource inventory and ecological restoration project. Public Works and Facilities Committee, Grady, yes. Franco, yes. Belsky, yes. Berg, yes. Nudo, yes. Palmaville, yes. Rodriguez, yes. Finance and Administration, Rose, yes. Gentz, yes. Franco, yes. Frederick, yes. Kubicki, yes. Wamble, yes. Uhas, yes.
Supervisor Grady.
Move the resolution.
Motion by Supervisor Grady, second by Supervisor Rose. Supervisor Grady?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This has to deal with our partnership with UW Parkside, some of the land that's adjacent between Petrifying Springs and Parkside. We are in a co-management agreement with them. And it's been brought to our attention that we really have to do our due diligence, being a steward of that area, to have an inventory and a plan going forward in terms of sensitive areas, ecological, different places and so forth. And the estimated cost of that is $50,000. The proposition before you this evening is to apply for a grant. We're just asking for permission at this point to apply for a grant from the Wisconsin DNR. If approved, that would be half the component. The other half would be the component of $25,000, which is already in the Kenosha County Parks budget. So there's no additional money being asked for in terms of taxpayer dollars here. That is the proposition before you, and we ask your approval.
Any discussion? Seeing none, this calls for a roll call modification of the budget.
Palmaville,
Yes.
Gully,
Yes.
Gashke,
Yes.
O'Day,
Yes.
Gentz,
Correct. It's just to apply for the grant.
Kubicki,
Yes.
Mauer,
Maybe not.
Rose, Belsky, Rodriguez,
Yes.
Celebrity, Decker,
Yes.
Beth,
Yes.
Ron Frederick, Wambolt, Franco,
Yes.
Winky, Boyd Frederick, Nudo, Uhas,
Aye.
Grady,
Aye.
Nordigan.
Yes. Motion carried. Thank you.
Communication 6 from Andy M. Bueller regarding future items scheduled before the Planning, Development, and Extension Education Committee.
Receive and file.
Summons and complaint 15. Akins, Walton, Gagliano, Deltgen, Garcia, ETL, civic rights violation.
Refer to Corporation Council.
Supervisor comments. Vice Chair Uhas on correcting misunderstandings and misconceptions about the board's response to recent events.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In the last few weeks, have experienced some of the greatest challenges our community has faced in many years, if not in the entire history of Kenosha County. This evening, I wanted to publicly address some of the perceptions and observations about this county board's response to events that we recently faced in our community. First, I would like to address the letter controversy. An official letter was sent on behalf of the Kenosha County Board. It was submitted to all county board supervisors for their signature and subsequently submitted to Governor Evers on Tuesday, August 25th. Following this, early in the morning on Wednesday, August 26th, the county released a press statement with the official letter which requested additional National Guard resources. There was another letter requesting National Guardsmen, which was released by 8 of our peers on this board. However, this was not the official letter by the board, nor was a courtesy of signing this unofficial letter given to the 15 fellow supervisors. It's important to
Point of
note-
information, through the chair to Corporation Council, what dictates an official letter? I would just like that clarification.
However, this was not the official letter by the board, nor was a courtesy of signing this unofficial letter given to the 15 fellow supervisors. It's important to note that official letters issued by this board are done on the county's official letterhead. Additionally, the same situation occurred with the August 30th letter written to President Trump. There was no courtesy given to fellow supervisors about this presidential letter. Hence the reason why only 7 signatures appeared on that letter. Next, there were several board members making social media posts and public statements requesting an emergency meeting with only a 2-hour public notice to address the events that happened. I spoke with Corporation Counsel on the 24th as to the correct procedure for calling an emergency meeting. As vice chair and by law, I would have to have gathered 12 supervisor signatures and more importantly, had to wait 48 hours to hold such a meeting. That was the advice of our county's corporation counsel. That would have put our emergency meeting on Wednesday evening at the earliest. Given the circumstances of the inability of the board to meet remotely and the ongoing curfew, this would not have been a plausible situation. We issued an authorized letter to Governor Evers and voiced our concerns. Lastly, in reflecting back on the last few weeks, certain supervisors need a reminder on the work we do here. In the state of Wisconsin, county boards are the legislative body that sets policy. We are not Congress or the state legislature, which affords some different privileges and opportunities to their members. We are members of the Kenosha community. Some of you may have forgotten this or let the influence of political opportunity clutter the work we do. But I remind you that the board's power is collective and not individualistic. The county board does not run the day-to-day operations of the county. We set the policy that determines the framework. We are not in the business of micromanagement. At a time when our county was in a state of unrest, we needed to work together. It was not a time to undermine the process for political gain on issues facing our community. We all have valid concerns. We need to have real and productive conversations to address these concerns. These conversations will happen. We will make efforts to address the gaps and problems facing the people in our community. No one should be left behind. We have to be real. We have to be intentional. And more importantly, we have to be unified. For too long, some on this board have gone completely out of their way to cause strife and division. We must do better for the people who are calling on us to make change, to rebuild, and to better our community. We as individuals need to reach within ourselves to become better, so we as a board can become better. Thank you.
Approval of the August 18th, 2020.
Point of order, Mr. Chairman. You said my question would be answered after Supervisor Uhas was done.
Approval of the August 18th, 2020 regular county board meeting minutes and the September 8th, 2020 committee of the whole minutes by Supervisor Decker.
I sent an email requesting that I don't approve the minutes since I was not at the first meeting on August 18th, so I don't feel it's appropriate for me to make a motion to
Okay,
approve.
I'm sorry, but who did you send that to?
I sent it to the chairman and then CC'd you on it this evening because I didn't realize that I was
busy with election stuff, so I did not see that.
And then
So
I don't feel comfortable since I wasn't here.
The next,
I would move to approve the minutes, Your Honor.
okay.
Have a second? Who seconded it? All right, Boyd. All in favor? Aye.
My light's on, Mr. Chairman.
Opposed?
My light is on,
Nay?
Mr. Chairman.
I have a motion by Supervisor Frederick to adjourn. Do I have a second?
Oh my gosh.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor? Aye, carried. Thank you.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman, my light was on. You're a joke. You know that?
No,
you cannot run these meetings and it's a joke. So, you know what? That's fine. That's fine. That's fine.
Goodbye.